Welcome to Your Life in Film. I'm your host, Ted Bennett. Joining me this week, comedian, actor, songwriter, Nick Helm. Nick is a staple of British telly. You'll have seen him on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, Sunday Brunch, House of Games. He's done lots of good telly. Talking about good telly, he was also in Uncle. Very good show. I didn't realise Nick was such a film guy, which was such a lovely discovery to make. We bumped into each other at a after party for something, and he was wearing an Ace Frehley t-shirt, and I approached him and I said, thank you very much. I'm going to have Back in the New York Groove stuck in my head all night now, and then promptly left. Then I decided I should probably reach out and ask if he wanted to do this podcast. We had a wonderful conversation. It's quite a long one, so strap in, enjoy. So you are a big film guy.
Yeah, all my life. Yeah, that's my thing. I was never into football. No. My family weren't into football. Well, they kind of do the tournaments, but I was never into sport or anything like that. My dad was always much more interested in kind of like music and the arts and opera and stuff like that, and he always sort of like encouraged us to be artistic. Mm. And then I kind of like latched onto films, and that was kind of a real kind of lifesaver when I was a kid, because you just sit in front of the TV for hours and hours and hours in your own world, or in the world that the film's created, and it would just eat up your weekends. It was brilliant.
I used to love that feeling of leaving the cinema and sort of having that feeling of, I'm still in that world. I'm continuing about with my life, but that world is real. And it's kind of happening elsewhere, and feeling like you're still there.
It's a window.
I loved that.
It was a window into an adventure. I remember very specifically when I went to see Back to the Future 2, which I must have been 9. I saw it at the cinema, so it was 1990, I think it came out. I'm going to switch that off. And don't want that happening. And yeah, and I remember being really frustrated leaving Back to the Future because I wasn't there anymore, and I wanted to be my Marty McFly more than anything else in the world.
I want that hoverboard.
It was just such like it was such food for the imagination of a child, and like you say, when you'd get, I loved because we had, when I was a bit older, when I was probably, because we grew up in London, and then we moved when we were about 7 or 8, and then there was a cinema that was about a mile up the road, and so me and my sister would walk up to the cinema, and so we had an Odeon in St Albans. There was an Odeon on London Road, and we'd walk up a mile, and we'd have our pocket money, and we'd get some popcorn and a drink, and then we'd go in, and it was this beautiful big, I think they had like 2 screens, maybe it was 2, maybe it was 3, I think it was 2, and we'd go up and we'd watch anything that was on, like literally anything. I remember we went to see a Paul Reiser, Randy Quaid, Matthew Modine comedy called Bye Bye Love, which I've never ever heard of ever again.
No, but never heard of that.
We walked up to see it. We walked a mile to see it. We watched it and we came back in, and it was like we would just watch absolutely anything that was available. It was great. It was great.
There is something about it, isn't there? That the whole ritual of going to the cinema, especially with a friend or a family member. My friend Sam. We moved from London up to Shropshire at the age of 6 or 7. And then I met Sam sort of like a year later. And then he and I instantly were like just film friends. Like that's all we did. We watched film and that's that. And it's funny how we can look back chronologically about how long our friendship is, or when certain things happened in our friendship, because it was something to do with going to the cinema, So... like we have one story where we went to go see Ben Affleck's Daredevil, and we got there and we were like, there's a lot of couples coming in to see Daredevil. That's a bit weird. I wouldn't have thought this was a couples film. And then Sam sort of just looked at me and was like, it's Valentine's Day. And I was like, and we're watching Ben Affleck in tight leather. Sounds like we're having a lovely day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I accidentally went to see Hot Fuzz with my dad on Valentine's Day, and And that was fun.
Yeah, I can imagine that goes like, no.
Yeah,
he's just my dad.
Yeah, he's just my dad. He's a great kisser though. So
What can I say?
But yeah, that was a weird one. But yeah, I agree. It's kind of like, because some of your questions are like, what was the first film you ever seen? And go, well, I remember films, and so. They obviously came out at a certain time, so it's kind of like, that it couldn't have been before that, and maybe It was even if you saw something at the cinema that was new, it was probably maybe a year after the release date, because we used to get everything a lot later in England. Yeah, it's kind of and also it's kind of like. I mean, I'm a comedian, and I was talking to my dad. I'm going through all my archives of stuff. I'm kind of like organising all my papers and stuff. And my dad was like saying, "God, look at this! You're so lucky, because you can literally you've got all of these date specific things that you have done." Yeah. And it's so rare in a life that you can look at it and you can actually account for every single year of your life. And you can like look at a poster and you go, I did that year, and I did that year. And films are really similar in terms of that. It's kind of like, well, I remember going to see all these films, and it's kind of like, well, that was that summer, and then that was that summer, And I think that's just a really comforting. It's your journey with films, and it's kind of like a personal journey. Everyone's got their own personal journey if they're into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can kind of like account for stuff, and you can like look at it. You can go, oh right, yeah, and then that's what that happened, and then So yeah, I love that relationship that I have with films, because I love films, but I appreciate them as pieces of art. Like in the same way that if you looked at a painting and then you get up close and you can look at the brushstrokes and then you step back. I'm not into like I think some people, especially nowadays, I think people watch them in terms of like realism, in terms of people are obsessed with continuity errors.
It really ruins it. The fact that we have to have like this, that's unrealistic in a police procedural, and it's like, it's a piece of fiction. So we have cop law and we have film law. Yeah. Like you enjoy it for the story it's being told to you. Don't dig into it and be like, well, that's unrealistic. It's like, it's a film.
But also it's a piece of art that that's been created by thousands of artists that are all kind of doing their bit on this big project. And what I love about it is that it's man-made, it's or it's human-made. Like when you look at the original King Kong, and you can see the thumbprints on all of the fur and stuff while they're doing it.
Love that.
And it's kind of like, on the one hand, you have like the suspension of disbelief where there's a 30-foot giant gorilla that's walking around. Yeah. But on the other hand, it's like this stop motion piece of animation which is beautiful, that they've even kind of like, worked out how to make kind of like the dimensions work with the actors, and so just the logistics of how they made it is incredible. And then you look at all of the artists that went in to make it. So, I went to see Alien at Prince Charles Cinema, and I've had sort of like a love-hate relationship with Prince Charles Cinema, because they have such an amazing kind of like bill, and there's always something I want to see every week. Yes. And they have so many different events that are great. And if you want to go, but I would say if you want to go and see like a classic, you're probably better off at BFI, because I went to see Alien, and it's the bit with Ian Holmes' head. And that comes on, and then the whole room laugh, and you kind of like go,
yes.
I've only ever watched Alien by myself. I'm a child.
It's not a funny film.
I was a child when I saw it, and there was nothing. It's a serious film, and the tone of it. And I think what I love most about it, I probably prefer Alien to Aliens. Good. Although Aliens is its own thing. Aliens is like a complete roller coaster.
Aliens, and Alien 3, in my opinion, are three standalone excellent films. And if you were to choose which is your favourite, it's like They're three separate films. They're
Well,
not. They just happen to be in the same universe.
You can watch them in any order, but if you watch them back to back, it's jarring because the dialogue in Aliens is so kind of like one-liner centric, and it's like hard-boiled kind of, Pulp Fiction kind of dialogue, whereas Alien is so naturalistic. I would say one of the last times I remember watching Aliens, I was with me and my ex-girlfriend now, but me and my girlfriend, we were sat on the sofa, and she'd never seen it before, and so we watched Aliens, and then at the end of the film, we realised that we'd been holding hands, and when we let go, we'd been holding hands so tight that our fingers were indented in each other's hands for about 5 minutes. Yeah, because the last 40 minutes of Aliens is the tensest. It's absolutely incredible. Whereas Alien, it's like the whole tone of it, the kind of lonely, bleak, ungodly tone of Alien is chilling. The whole when they're on the planet, it's chilling. When they're in the spaceship, it's chilling. Even before they meet the alien, it's already kind of tense and kind of scary. And I just think that's amazing. So when you watch it, when you have the opportunity to see that at the cinema, and you go and see it with a bunch of people in the cinema, and they're laughing at the special effects, it's kind of which works both ways, I think, because seeing Alien with an audience for the first time, and people are laughing at it, and you're kind of frustrated because I've only ever watched it on my own, and it never occurred to me once that was funny. I just accepted it as like, that's a special effect. I'm a grown up. Obviously, it's all special effects. I have a suspension of disbelief that I'm enjoying it. And so something like a wonky prop or something doesn't pull me out of it. It kind of reminds me that people have made it.
Also, I like to look at that wonky prop and be like, oh, that's how you did it. Oh, interesting. Oh, there's the thing. Oh, that's nice. And then I appreciate, like you're saying, I appreciate it for the piece of art.
I think, with the... When you look at 90s films, because I love all eras of films. One of my favourite films is Casablanca. I go right the way back to silent era. I love them all. I have a particular fondness for the 90s because that was the decade I started taking myself to the cinema.
90s thrillers, they don't get better.
Well, I'm always in the mood for a John Grisham, and 90s thrillers, specifically 90s thrillers, and maybe it was 80s, but stuff like Narrow Margin with Gene Hackman, if ever I'm visiting my parents and we don't know what to watch, it'll always be like, right, let's watch Gene Hackman, because he's just like
safe bet.
He's like a quality standard. And but the 90s, when they first started introducing CGI, what was great about stuff like Jurassic Park and Titanic, they use different, they use miniatures and animatronics and, CGI and rear projection, and they use all these different kinds of disciplines.
They seamlessly blend them between each one.
Well, your brain can't keep up. So it's kind of like you're kind of like going, how do they do that? And then they go on to the next thing, and they've done it differently, and you're kind of like, well, how do they do that? And then so you just kind of like it creates like this huge kind of experience.
So I watched Matrix Reloaded the other day, and I was just like, God, these graphics were shit when they first came out, and they have just not aged well. And because there's so much of it, all I'm seeing is these rubbery men and women fighting. And you're like, this doesn't work. And then yesterday I watched Air Force One, and it was spectacular. Because like you were saying, they got the rear projection. They got the miniatures of like the plane. And the plane's 3 foot long. It's a huge miniature, but it's going along a runway. And then the explosions are sort of comped in, but they're not CG. They're a real explosion comped in. And you're just like, how is this? How does this work? How does this work? I believe that Harrison Ford has just punched Gary Oldman out of a plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas I'm looking at Neo and I'm like, Keanu, man, Did you even turn up that day? Like,
Yeah.
there's no need.
Yeah, but once you can kind of wave your hand away and say it's all CGI, then it's kind of, I think the magic is sort of lost, and then they become something different. They're kind of like corporate experiences where
my eyes know I'm not looking at anything real, and it doesn't apply for animation. Like Akira, I absolutely adore because it's hand drawn, and these are CGI is all hand worked. But when I know I'm only just looking at green screen and that, my brain kind of just goes like, yeah.
Well, I just always, it's a shame because you just think of it as like it's a tool. It's like a tool, and just like practical effects are tools, and obviously there is a lot of skill that goes into it, but it's expensive as well, and it's kind of I guess I mean it is because it's profit. And you can make all sorts of changes in post-production that you wouldn't be able to do if you filmed it all. You know, like with the Thing remake or the prequel that they made with the Thing.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of like they did the whole thing with practical effects, and then they just at the end of it decided to CGI it all. Or the Wolfman as well. I mean, I think we were really robbed of Rick Baker's last proper, werewolf movie. Although I loved the Wolfman, I thought it was great, and I think Rick Baker's actual practical costume design was like, he took the original Lon Chaney Jr. design, and then he kind of upgraded it and gave him kind of like dog legs, knees on the back of his knees.
Yeah,
and I loved. I mean, I properly loved that film, but it was a real shame that they kind of like went the CGI route with it. But I just think that's so I'm probably less into kind of films probably within the last 15 years, because that's when really Marvel took over, and I'm not so interested in that stuff.
I think it's made me branch out to more not the hits of world cinema, like really digging into world cinema and being like, oh, who are you? And what was your first film? And then digging all the way back and being like, okay, here's something that's new, an original story, something I haven't seen before. And then that's great. And then obviously that makes me, learn more about world cinema, and that's always a good thing. And that's my way of sort of being like, okay, well, Hollywood cinema doesn't do it for me at the moment. It might win me back. I hope it does. So that means I now have all this time to go focus on South Korean cinema. Like, it's got all this time to go look at like mainly Hong Kong thrillers from the 80s. That's what I usually tend to deviate to.
I just went to see Hard Boiled at the BFI.
Oh, lovely.
What was that, last week or 2 weeks ago? And that's incredible. I think they're they're reappraising him at the moment, aren't they? I think the Killer's on at Prince Charles. Well, in Prince Charles's defence, they do have huge like adverts before the film starts saying "Don't be a dick" and stop talking.
Yeah, but I saw Alien and Aliens as a double feature at the Prince Charles.
Right.
This was a few years ago, maybe almost 10. And it was the same deal. Like, I had seen Alien recently at the BFI because they did a 4K of it at the IMAX. So I saw it there and everyone took it seriously. But then during Aliens, everyone, well, like you were saying, they were just like quoting out the lines, yelling it all out. And I was like, no, people, let's respect the medium. I'm not yelling at the Mona Lisa. Cheer up, bitch.
I had to,
you know what I mean?
I had to walk out of a Paul Verhoeven sci-fi triple bill because I just couldn't handle. They were they were morons during RoboCop, and then Total Recall came on and they were shouting at the screen all the way through and I was just like, if they can't handle RoboCop and Total Recall, then Starship Troopers is going to be a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
So I left. I was just like, I'm not doing the third.
I think that's a smart move.
But on the flip side of that, what I would say is kind of like growing up and watching films as a child on like TV and video. The flip side of that is kind of it was probably 15 years ago. They would have done, what would it have been? It would have been a 35 or a 25 year anniversary for Back to the Future.
That'll be 35.
No, it would have been 25, 15 years ago, and it would have been 40 this year, or 40 last year, wasn't it? And Back to the Future was like when I saw it in 2010, it must have been the first time I'd ever seen it in a cinema with an audience.
Oh, yeah.
And then again, I saw it last year. Me and my friend Nathaniel Metcalf went to Los Angeles to see John Carpenter in concert on Halloween. And
can I give you an extra piece on that?
Yeah.
2 years ago, I went to Screamfest,
Yeah.
and I watched The Thing with John Carpenter and Dean Cundy.
oh wow, was it great?
It was bloody lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good film. It's like joint first of my favourite John Carpenter films, but yeah, it's good.
Fair. Yeah.
But we were out there and we watched, we were out there we were with our other friend David Trent, and he had to leave, and we had like limited time before his plane. We were like, what do we do? And it was like, oh, right, well, Back to the Future's on Grand Chinese Theatre on Hollywood Boulevard in IMAX. It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to go to Los Angeles and watch a new film?
Yeah, no, thank you.
So we were just like, you couldn't possibly get a more perfect cinematic experience than like a pretty much flawless film, one of the most entertaining films ever in IMAX at one of the most famous cinemas on the planet, in the place where films are
Please
made.
and thank you.
Yeah. So we went to see that. And what's so interesting about Back to the Future, I grew up watching it, by myself or with friends, or whenever it was on telly or whatever. We probably taped it off the TV and we watched
Same.
it. My sister saw it at the cinema, and I was taken to see Black Cauldron instead.
Yeah.
And I was furious, but
Well,
I didn't.
I have similars.
I didn't mind Black Cauldron, but
It wasn't that Black Cauldron was bad. It's just it wasn't Back to the Future, and as an adult, knowing that you missed out, it hurts.
Yeah, I didn't really know. I didn't even really understand what the title Back to the Future meant. But
Okay.
I know that she came home with the sticker album, and I think that there was a Back to the Future sort of board game on the back of Weetabix, and you had to kind of like cut out the little DeLorean cars and glue them together, and then go around this board. So I just remember Back to the Future. But when you see it in the cinema, it's a comedy, and I knew there was humour in it.
Sure.
And I knew that Michael J. Fox is a very kind of like, he's got such a light touch with comedy. He's like one of the. I mean, everyone loves Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
And everyone loves Back to the Future, and I feel like it's kind of a given. But Marty McFly is one of the all-time greatest performances.
Yeah, completely believable.
It's like he's just like everything from kind of like the physicality that he brings to it, to kind of his delivery, and he's just got such a lightness of touch, and I think he's sort of incredibly underrated. Like, even though everyone loves him, it's almost like, oh yeah, it's Back to the Future because we love Back to the Future because we have nostalgia for Back to the Future. When in actual fact, it's like, no, he's like Cary Grant in that film. He's like,
Fair.
he's incredible. He's got like that real lightness of touch. But yeah, when you see it with an audience, it's like everyone's laughing at all of the punchlines, and you're like going, "Oh my god, this film is like." Obviously, I enjoyed it on my own level, but when you see it and people are like kind of like signposting that these are the points where everyone else is laughing, you're like going, "Oh, you kind of appreciate it on a completely different level." I love that.
Though I had an odd one. I went to see the '89 Batman at the Prince Charles, and there was a woman sat in front of me who I couldn't pinpoint what was the trigger, but she would just laugh. Like the Joker would be halfway through saying something that was not a funny line, and she'd just be like, huh. And I was like, wait, what have I missed? I've seen this film hundreds of times. Why are you laughing? And for the rest of the film, I was just like, when are you going to laugh again? And I kept looking over, and my friend was like, what are you doing? And I was like, she's laughing at just normal dialogue, and he was like, in the wrong places, and he was like, stop it, you're being weird. And then he was like, oh yeah, she is laughing, what's going on over there? It was great.
Well, you ruined it for him as well.
yes I had to, if I was going to have a nice time.
Sure.
There was also the same friend that when we went to go see Akira at the Prince Charles, we were both really excited to go see it. We were both also absolutely shattered. So we were like, please be dubs, not subs. Please be dubs, not subs. Please be dubs, not subs. And then obviously it comes in the original Japanese, and we were like, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But I'm fucking shattered.
Yeah.
So then we're just reading it like, all right, I'm having a lovely time. But yeah.
I mean, this might be quite controversial, but I don't really see the point in subtitling animation.
Fair. I think there's, as long as the voice performance is done with the same vigor and an intensity.
Yeah.
Couldn't care less.
I mean, there are some real fucking left field choices on Studio Ghibli. Is it Ghibli or Ghibli?
Sure.
There's some real left field choices on Studio Ghibli.
There we go. Thank you.
Like Billy Crystal and Howl's Moving Castle pretty much ruins it. You're like, what are you doing, mate?
What are you doing over there?
What are you doing? I think he's like trying to channel Robin Williams from Aladdin, and it's like,
yeah.
No. But yeah, I mean, obviously the dialogue changes slightly, and but if it's already like animation is dubbed by its very nature, so
yes.
I can't remember what it was. But it was a couple of years ago. I went to see some animation at Prince Charles, and it was on in the middle of the day, and that had subtitles, and there were like kids in, and it was like, oh no, you're in for a real rough 2 hours, kid, because it was just all reading. And when you're reading it, you're not looking at the beautiful animation. So
yeah, I think that's because my therapist, he was talking about showing his son some Kurosawa, and I sort of said like, oh, are you going to do it dubbed or subbed? Because I think the kid's like, I'm not going to out the kid's age, but the kid's young, and he was like, no, I'm going to go for something that's not as talky and let it be subbed, and then get him used to reading and then looking and reading and looking. And I was like, that's a very smart way of doing it. Whereas I would have just been like, crack on with the dub, mate. Enjoy the film. If you like it, go back and watch it again with the subs and realise you're better than people for watching it with subs.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that is a good way of doing it. I can't remember what I was watching. I'm just trying to remember. I was watching.
Was it Ghost in the Shell? I feel like they did that recently.
No, I don't think it was animation. It was something that I was watching that was. Oh my god! I don't even think I put it in Letterboxd. Oh, it was probably Hard Boiled. It was Hard Boiled. Right. And, there's a lot of subtitles in Hard Boiled. But then there are just huge action sequences that don't need any dialogue whatsoever. And it's kind of... I thought that's what was kind of incredible about it, is that it's visual storytelling. Subtitles really do bring out the fact that there's visual... that cinema's visual storytelling. Because a lot of the time you can follow the plot without actually reading anything.
You, of course, have been in film and TV. I see that segue.
This is true.
I realised when I was looking at your IMDb recently, unrelated to asking if you'd want to be on the pod, and I saw that you did, is it The Lady in the Dress?
Yeah. That was a short film, yeah. I did a short film.
It was a short film. And I had shot the EPK for some candid observations on the eve of the end of the world, which was shown at the same time.
Oh, right. Okay, right.
And I remember you went up on stage and did a little speech before the film, I think, or after.
At the BFI was this, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't watch the screening. But I came in and I did the intro and then I left.
Nice.
But yeah, I do remember that. That's funny. The girl in the dress. She's my friend now, Natalie Marlowe.
Oh, nice.
She kind of lives. She's sort of like my neighbourhood neighbour.
Oh, nice.
I think she'd seen Uncle, and then she kind of got in contact. No, I did a short film. I wrote I directed a short film that I wrote with Esther Smith, called Elephant, which got BAFTA nominated, and then.
Ooh. Well done, sir.
Thank you very much. First one out of knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
We didn't win, but what's interesting about being nominated for a BAFTA is that everyone just thinks you've won anyway. So
nice.
They go, "Oh, well done with winning the BAFTA," and you're like,
"Thank you, yes."
Yeah. Nominee. There it is.
It's just I've got it. The old mask is getting not polished, so you can't see it right now.
You can't see it right now, yeah. And So she saw that, and then she kind of like said, "Would you do this short film for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And we met up and we talked about it, and I was going to be. The idea was that I was playing kind of like one of them human statues that you get in Covent Garden, and then this woman in a dress, and I'm dressed as Henry VIII, who famously had lots of wives.
Loved it,
and loved them. Loved the wives he did until he didn't, and then. And so the idea was that there was this woman that had ran out of her wedding, so she was wearing a wedding dress, and she's confronted by this human statue that's dressed as Henry VIII, and then he helps her sort out her relationship stuff. And it was a really nice script, and I agreed to do it. I said, yes, that sounds great, and we had like some chats about it. I think we even had a rehearsal.
Oh, wow.
And then on the day we filmed it, I turned up and they sent me to the costume and makeup department. And they were just like, we just need to do a quick little skin test on you to make sure that the makeup doesn't hurt you. And I was like, what do you mean? And they fucking sprayed me gold. And I was just like, what do you mean I'm gold? Right? What do you mean? What do you mean I'm gold? And she goes, yeah, you're gold. I told you were gold. I said, no, you never. You didn't tell me I was gold.
You said I was golden.
She kept like saying, no, look, I told you got. I said, where did you say I was going? She goes, I said that you're a human statue. And I was just like, at no point does that say.
That could be anything.
That from head to toe, I'm going to be completely sprayed gold. So I found that out just before we started filming, nice. And I was just like, "Oh fucking hell!" I look like a right knobhead. But no offense to actual professional human statues.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah. So that was really funny. But yeah, I did that, and so we have history.
We do, and I was really like, oh yes, of course. Like I was brought back to that whole script. Much we were talking about with memories and film, I was then brought back to remember that short film I'd worked on and that summer that I'd worked on it, and it was like, oh, that's lovely to remember that. So yeah.
I mean, what I was going to say was that I quite like the Police Academy films. I think.
Hey, you're a comedian. You're allowed to.
I think that would actually rule me out. I'm an award nominated comedian. I've won a couple. I'm an award nominated comedian. I think that the Police Academy film shouldn't be anywhere near my radar.
Fair enough.
But I think the first four with Steve Guttenberg, they do work as like a.
Oh, you really think when Guttenberg left, that's when the quality went downhill?
Well, it did. I mean, it's undeniable. They had four films that were kind of like they all followed on from each other, and because during the Pando, I binged them all, but I managed to do them all in one day, and it was just like, oh, great.
Jesus.
And it was absolutely exhilarating, right? Because once you've got halfway through three and you've gone, nah, I'm doing them all. Right?
May as well.
It's kind of like you locked in. But those first four, they all worked together as a set. And then when Steve Guttenberg left, they kind of panicked and they were like, right, what do we do without him? Well, we'll take him. We'll do like on the buses, go on holiday, and they'll all go to Miami, and Mahoney won't be there, and we'll have a Mahoney replacement. And it's kind of like they kind of attempted to do it with sort of a similar budget, and it doesn't quite work. And then with six, they were like, well, let's do it with a skeleton crew, and we'll film it on backlots, and we'll halve the budget again, and that doesn't work. And then, like 5 or 6 years later, when the Iron Curtain drops, Russia turn around to Hollywood and they say, we'd love it if you made a Police Academy film here. And Police Academy 7 was the first Western film to be made in Russia after the Cold War, and that one is really awful. But like after 4, you can see how like the 7th one is awful, but they weren't all as bad as the 7th one,
right?
And I've just seen Scream 7, and I think there's more good Police Academy films than there are Scream films, right? And so by the time you get to the 7th one, yeah, it's dog shit, right? But you can see how it kind of had to be scaled down from the 5th one, and they were just wringing all the money out of it. But the first 4 are great, and they have They have a structure where, you know, they, like, to their credit, they try and do something different in every single Police Academy film. So I can't remember what the finale of the first one is, but I think the second one...
I don't think I've watched them since I was a kid.
The fourth one ends with a hot air balloon chase, and I think the third
Classic.
one ends...
Exhilarating.
I think the third one has speedboats, maybe. There's definitely one that's got... this might be Miami. There's one that's on, like, the Everglades. And so they try and do, like, this big kind of stunt-heavy, vehicle-based... set piece at the end of each one that's always different from, you know, and it's kind of like, it's like James Bond in that way, right, where they've kind of like gone, right, well, let's mix this up, let's not do like the same location. So I think, you know, they deserve a bit of credit, and they try to avoid... By no means are they masterpieces, but there's a joke in the fourth one that links back to the first one, which ties the first four together. Yeah. And I found George Gaines says it. He's talking to a bunch of ambassadors around a table, and it just cuts in halfway through an anecdote, and he's just finishing off his anecdote. And it's a reference to the blowjob scene in the first one, and you just kind of like go, you didn't have to do that. I laughed out loud. I just thought it was just like this, like there was a level of care to it, that you wouldn't associate with a Police Academy film. And also, they all loved each other. They all loved each other, and they all loved working together. And you can just imagine, like, by the time they get onto the fourth one, they're all clocking in and going, you know, it's not really about the film anymore. It's about, oh, we're just cranking out another one of these, are we? But like, there's like this communal kind of experience that you're watching as well with the Police Academy films. And I don't watch them often, but like I'd say that last time, you know, whenever they're on telly, I'm like, I can talk at this length about anything, right? Okay. But it just so happens we've landed on Police Academy right now, right?
We've landed.
Well, I do have a point where it's kind of like there's like a house style to it, right? And once you've bought into the house style, you're no longer comparing the police academies to, you know, Schindler's List or Gone with the Wind.
Yes.
They're those films. And when you're watching the Godzilla movies, you're completely locked in and you go, this is how it works. I'm not kind of like going, bloody hell, the special effects in this aren't as good as Jurassic Park. You're kind of like going, this is what it looks like. And I also think, like, if they were ever going to make a sequel or do a remake of Jaws, you know, there was I think the complaints about the rubber shark have kind of subsided over the years, because the film, the quality of the film has taken over. But I think as kind of like as a way to beat the film up, people always kind of reference the rubber. Oh, it's just a fake shark. Oh, it's a rubber shark. They even mention it in Back to the Future 2, because that was one of the big complaints about the film. You know, the shark looks fake, and it's kind of like,
looks fake.
I don't know what a 25-foot great white shark looks like, right? And for all intents and purposes,
it looks like that.
This is the villain of the movie. This is your Michael Myers. This is your Jason Voorhees. This is your Freddy Krueger. This is what the shark looks like. And if you were going to do it again, I don't want it to look like an actual real shark. I want it to look like the shark character in Jaws, because that's what Jaws is. It's that shark. If you were like people, you know, they've done stuff on the internet where people have kind of like done sort of you know, special effects tests and gone, this is what the shark would look like if it was real, and it doesn't look as good, and it pulls you out.
No, I completely agree. The ominous sort of slow dread of that shark just going, and because they knew it didn't look quite good, so we never saw it all the time. It didn't
work most of the time, so they couldn't film it.
So there's a fear. There is a thing like, I'm not looking at it all the time, which means I can't get used to what I'm seeing. And if I'm only ever seeing a certain element of it, then I don't ever get the full picture. And when the full picture finally does fucking come out and grab Quint, you're like, fuck me, this thing's huge. I don't care that it looks rubbery. I went to the Academy Museum couple of years ago, and they got Bruce hanging from the rafters.
What, in Los Angeles?
Yeah,
we went when we went. It was incredible.
It's beautiful. Looks real to me.
We did the whole. Well, it looks like a real prop.
Yeah,
it looks like a real thing. And then, you know, We did the whole exhibition. We took about an hour going around the exhibition, and then we came out, and then because we were only there for the day, so it was just like, well, let's do it again. So we did a speed run to make sure we hadn't missed anything.
Lovely.
But it was one of the best uses of my time I've ever done.
When I was there, they had a cyberpunk exhibit and all of
we had that as well. Yeah.
Oh, sick! I loved that. That was really nice.
Yeah, it was good. And then we went to see John Carpenter in the evening. It was a good day out.
Perfect.
Though it's not that the shark looks real. It's just like that is the shark from Jaws. And also, I love Jaws. Right? I know. I think it's the greatest movie ever made. And I've been saying that for years, and then I recently saw a clip of Quentin Tarantino saying it, and I was just like, I guess we're both geniuses.
Why do you hate Paul Dano?
Except I like Paul Dano, and Matthew Lillard was the best thing in Scream 7.
Yes.
But yeah, it's kind of like because Jaws is probably one of my earliest film memories of just seeing the yellow barrels on TV once. And being kind of like, I was tiny, and I was sort of like the yellow barrels were enough to scare me, and so Jaws is one of my earliest memories, and it's followed with me my whole life. I'm not a huge Spielberg guy. I like Jaws, and I like Jurassic Park, and I do love. I love Last Crusade, and I really, really, really like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Doom. I'm kind of getting into, but a lot of his other films I can take or leave, and he's not my guy,
Yeah, fair enough.
I love George Lucas, and Spielberg. I always felt a bit saccharine, and I always kind of gravitated more towards people like John Carpenter, But with Jaws, it's like so much about the making of and behind the scenes. It's almost impossible to see this film without knowing about the behind the scenes tensions that's going on. Even the relationships between the actors, Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss, and all of like the soap opera drama that was going on. And I've read like. What's his face's Carl Gottlieb's set diary, and I've kind of I've got a Jaws themed toilet, like I'm in my office, and next door I've got my bathroom, and all of the walls are covered in Jaws stuff, and
lovely.
And it's kind of like I absolutely love Jaws.
We are yet to frame, but we have a by order of Amityville PD no swimming that needs to go up in the bathroom.
Oh, I've got one of them, yeah.
Nice.
It's like I just love everything about Jaws. I love the making of it, the behind the scenes stuff. I love and so, I still have to take my feet off the ground during the estuary victim bit I think it's the most horrifying image in almost in film history, certainly. Of the shark just gliding underneath the surface of the water and just dragging him under. I have to take my feet off the ground. If I'm watching it at home, I have to take it off the ground. I probably watch Jaws once or two times a year. I remember they released it a couple of years ago in 3D at the cinema, and again I'm in the cinema. I have to take my feet off the ground because you just you have that icky feeling, and
I'm pretty sure my thalassophobia stems from Jaws.
What's thalassophobia? What is it?
Thalassophobia is the fear of deep water.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, swimming pools, like when we were on holiday and you'd be in a villa and not my villa, but there'd be kind of like a pool and you kind of like, it's night time and you're scared to go into a pool.
There's going to be a shark in there, 100%.
Absolutely. I find all of that terrifying. And it's kind of like, even though we have kind of absolutely deconstructed and cannibalized this movie and taken it to pieces, and it's been pastiche loads, and there's been, worse sequel. I mean, the first 4 Police Academy films as a set are better than the first 4 Jaws films, right?
It's upsetting but true.
At least they're consistent, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, even though we know everything there is to know about Jaws, and even though, I still watched the 50th anniversary documentary knowing that I knew everything in there.
Can I say, the only thing I didn't know was that the film poster came from the book cover.
Yeah, right.
That was the only thing, and I was like, huh. Go on then.
But I still find it just like the behind the scenes stuff as interesting as the film. And then when you watch the film, none of that takes away from it, because the film is still powerful and strong. It's got, it's got amazing performances, I think. So there's a couple of shots in there which are kind of like when the shark almost comes like vertically out of the water and jumps on the boat, and you kind of go, these shots are a bit wonky and they don't kind of like, but it doesn't affect the film. It doesn't take me out of it. And all I'm thinking is, God, how many takes did it take them to just get that? And it makes me appreciate the film. But I can also switch that aspect of it off. You can appreciate the film as a piece of escapism, a piece of entertainment, a thriller, a drama, a comedy. It's all of these things. You can appreciate it as on the level that the film is like a window into an imaginary world. You can appreciate it on that level, but you can also appreciate it on the level that 1,000 artists laboured on getting this thing made, and it was impossible to film on the water, and they were doing script rewrites every day, and they had to cobble together this thing, and it ended up being a masterpiece. And I love film for that reason. I love film because I do like the adventure of a movie, but it's not just about escapism. It's about just sort of like marveling at, the human process of creating things. I just love everything about it. So Jaws is kind of like this this film where the special effects have aged. Or maybe they haven't. Maybe they were always as shonky as they always were. But it doesn't affect the film, and it
definitely doesn't affect the film. And I think storytelling really makes a big part in that as well. If I'm bought in, I'm not looking for faults. Like I'm not looking for any mistake in the thing, and I'm sure there are loads.
Well, on top of all of that, technically, on a technical level, it's just a flawless film. The camera work is incredible. So it's not like the shark is rubbish and so's the camera work.
Yeah, sure.
It's not like a knockoff B movie, what do you call it? Kind of like a...
Alligator.
Even
though Alligator is
Alligator's great, right? But is it William Forsythe, isn't it? And he spends the whole film talking about, he's bald, and he's like going, "Oh, I'm bald."
And I love that. Like, you gonna look at my hair? Yeah. All right. Male pattern baldness. It's a thing.
And but it's a knockoff, right? And it's a cheapie that is more entertaining.
Yeah.
Not that it has any right to be, but it's kind of like what Jaws should have been, right?
Oh yeah.
But Steven Spielberg made it, and so this, like, he's an incredible filmmaker, and Jaws is great, and then you do have this thing, but it's like it kind of, because the rest of the film is so well acted and produced and made, it's kind of like I don't really even have a problem with the shark, even though
I don't.
And what I would say about it, knowing all of that, knowing everything that I know. I watched Jaws last year for the that'll be the 50th, wouldn't it? I do not know how it happened, but the bit when he goes under the boat and he chisels the tooth out, and then he drops the tooth and then the head comes out. I've seen this film, 100 times, and on the 101st time I've seen it, the head coming out of the thing made me jump. And you kind of like go, for the first time.
Oh,
I've always I don't know what it was. I think maybe I've always been looking at the hole in the boat, and when the head comes out, it's kind of slow. And I think maybe this time when I watched it, I was actually looking at his hands with the tooth and the knife, and then the head comes out, and I jumped, and I was just like, that is crazy. That bit, not only have I seen that bit like 100 times, but and not only has that been discussed ad nauseum, and that was the insert shot that they put in, that they filmed in a swimming pool. Not only do I know all of that, but but it made me jump for the first time in all those times. So I just think, I
love that.
That's my appreciation of film, right? I love films, but I love everything about the process behind the films as well.
I'm a big fan of the process.
And I guess that's, I am drawn to sort of, I don't have a specific favourite genre. I love horror because they're kind of easy watches for me. And I love science fiction and I love comedy. And I grew up with action. But I love, what I really miss these days is like your mid-budget dramas or
tight 90. Just a nice 90-minute thriller drama thing where you're just getting a real story with real actors, adult actors. And I'm not being flippant when I say adult actors. Adults, like actors that take their craft very seriously, and you don't need to look sexy or make a funny joke. You can just look grim and be an arsehole, Gene Hackman, and just still be like, oh yeah, man, that works. Like, you're an absolute scumbag in most of your films, but I fucking love you.
Yeah, or like Susan Sarandon. It's kind of like, she your reward in Hollywood is that, you get promoted to the point where you're doing trash. And it's kind of like Susan Sarandon, she pops up here and there and stuff, and you kind of go, yeah, it's great, but she's playing Susan Sarandon in a part where it's just like, hey, we've got Susan, you love Susan Sarandon, here's Susan Sarandon. Whereas in the 80s and 90s, she was in all these films. And
so
it's kind of like, where are those films?
I didn't get why everyone lost their mind for Meryl Streep, because when I was growing up, Meryl Streep was already Meryl Streep. So every time I saw her, and unfortunately I think the first time I saw her anything was Stuck on You, where she has a cameo, I was just very much like, I don't get it, she's always playing the same character, what's going on? And then I watched Kramer versus Kramer and I was like, I was an idiot, this woman's spectacular, like, she's a great actress.
Well, you weren't an idiot, it's just sort of like I miss sort of like that tone of the weight of 70s dramas. And
that Hollywood Renaissance period was so good for film.
You kind of get, you do still get it in the 80s, and then backed up with blockbusters, and then the 90s kind of like tips over more to like blockbusters and what I love about those John Grisham adaptations is that they're all from John Grisham books, right? So they've all got like the same source in a way, but depending on who's directing them, you get a completely different style of film. So who did The Firm? Was that? I'm going
to say it's Tony, but it's not Tony.
I think it was. Was it Sidney Lumet? Or was it Sidney Pollock? Or was it?
Was it Pollock? Let's have a look. The Firm.
Oh, I'm not on the internet.
Pollock. Well done, sir.
Oh, right, there you go. So Sidney Pollock. I mean, The Firm is quite a broad film. I mean, it starts with like Tom Cruise doing. I don't love The Firm, but it starts with Tom Cruise doing like backflips down the pavement, and it's kind of like, oh wow, this is kind of bonkers. But it's like this big glossy kind of thriller, and then you've got The Client, which is Joel Schumacher, and again that's kind of like this really kind of like glossy, slick kind of thriller. But then you've got The Rainmaker, which is Francis Ford Coppola. And then when you watch The Rainmaker, the emphasis isn't about the plot anymore. The emphasis is about the acting and the character work, and Matt Damon and Danny DeVito, and so Francis Ford Coppola has kind of like created. He's used kind of this John Grisham book to kind of do almost like a theatre production where he's broken them all down, and there's a scene where Matt Damon has to turn up and he's looking tired and uncomfortable, so they taped a rock to his back so that he kind of like was physically
giving it that all the time,
And then you have The Gingerbread Man, which is Robert Altman, which again is kind of really loose, and it's kind of, and so it's kind of you have this John Grisham is the standard where it's just like, right, they're all based on John Grisham, but depending on who's directing them, you get different sorts of films out of them. I find that really interesting.
That is really interesting, because you'd have thought that having a Grisham as the backbone, there would be a unifying theme.
Well, like Marvel movies, it's like, we'll make sure that they're all kind of the same. Oh, Sam Raimi directed this one. Okay, thank you for telling me. But
because he fucking didn't.
Because the Empire review was like going flourishes of Sam Raimi, and you kind of like go, well, are there really? It's Bruce Campbell's in it, but yeah, sure. Whereas when you see something like Send Help, which just came out.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
And it's kind of like, it's he's back to kind of Drag Me to Hell kind of Sam Raimi.
Ooh.
Where it's like, it's not quite up there with, your Evil Deads and your Darkmans, but it's kind of like a return to form where you kind of go, I've missed this Sam Raimi, and I didn't get this Sam Raimi even through the Spider-Man movies.
No, like it's not that I forget that Raimi did the Spider-Mans, but I always just think they're different films that Raimi did.
Well, he's a gun for hire, and I feel like Sam Raimi's contribution is the tone of them, where like his main contribution is the tone of them, where he's got kind of like that kind of nostalgic like cheesiness to it, where he's like he's like an unashamed nerd. And he's kind of like, it's corny. That's what he, and and that's his style. He loves corny kind of stuff.
Are you an Evil Dead 1 or 2 man?
2. Well, I'm an Army of Darkness guy.
It's completely thrown me.
Army of Darkness. I mean,
Fair enough.
I saw Army of Darkness when I was young, and then I worked back and I watched Evil Dead 2, and then eventually I built up the courage to watch Evil Dead 1, but I did it in reverse order.
Evil Dead 1 all day for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's like, it's a high card, as my friend Nathaniel would say. It's, what I love about Evil Dead is it's a group of 20-year-olds in the woods that are making stuff up, and they made a film that was so horrific to some people that it got banned.
I know, it's so beautiful.
And it's like, they made it with plasticine in the woods. What are you talking about? But like, the Evil Dead companion book that I had, where they have like, all the diagrams of them. They taped a camera to the middle of a 2x4 and then they ran it through the woods and all that stuff. Again, that goes back to like you can see the thumbprints on screen, right? Of like where they've made it and where they've stitched it all together.
That's why I keep my VHS of it, because to me, I like a friend, he had never seen any of them, and he said like, oh, should I get them all on 4K? And I was like, no, like get at most DVD. I was like, because you want it to be a bit knackered and you want to be able to not quite see it, because in my opinion, it looks better. Like if you can see that it's all that and you're not bought in, you're going to be criticising it. It's
the experience, isn't it? You kind of want it to be like grindhousey.
Yeah, I want it to feel like it's a tape I shouldn't be watching.
Yeah, I don't want to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 4K. I want to watch it with kind of like lines through it and jumps in the film. But I like that about Evil Dead. I like the fact that it's kids in the woods that have made this film, and I love the special. The special effects are gross, right?
Yeah.
And I love the special effects in it, and I love the fact that they made it themselves. I think it's great. And then what I love about Evil Dead 2 is not just that the film is a step up, and production-wise it's better, it's funny. There's some like amazing set pieces in it, blah blah blah, all of that. But what I like about it is that it's the next evolutionary step for them, where they're doing the same gags from the first one, but they're slicker. Yeah. And then when you get to Army of Darkness, they're doing the same gags again. There's always the bit where he makes a cross out of wood and he stakes it into the ground on a grave. And they do that in all 3 films. And in the first one, it's sort of a sketch of an idea. On the second one, they've refined it. And on the third one, they've mastered it. It's like, so they use the same gags, which is like, which George Lucas would call rhyming. And in each film, they kind of like get better and better. And I love that as a franchise, because normally it's not like, you watch the first, you don't watch Spider-Man 1 and go, God, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing with this one. And now they worked it out. Although Spider-Man 2 is a huge step up from Spider-Man 3.
Sure, but not, I don't know. I mean, it's a hard one, isn't it? But like I judge a film festival in North Carolina, and there was one of the short films that some guys had submitted. It was shot on an old DV camera, and it was clearly 3 mates having a really good time making a short film. And I was like, this is the best one. like, this deserves an award. This is so good. And someone was like, what about this one? I'm like, it's slick, it's lovely, it does everything as it's meant to. Bit soulless, doesn't really do it for me. Whereas this one, where I can see a bunch of mates making a film and having a good time, that's what I'd rather promote. And I feel like that's what you get with Evil Dead. It's like, you do know that people are having a nice time making this. People are having a great time making it.
It works on the level of the film, and then it also works on the level of being kind of like a film archaeologist, where you're trying to work out how it all fits together and how it all works. And it doesn't take anything away from the film. In fact, it actually adds to the film. I love Sam Raimi. John Carpenter and Sam Raimi, and some aspects of John Landis were like my favourites growing up. And it's not to take anything away from what he did with the Spider-Man films. I think the tone of it is Sam Raimi. I think the tone and the era and, the Peter Parker that he wanted to tell a story about was Sam Raimi. That's him. And he does get some Sam Raimi-esque camera movements in there, which do lend themselves to Spider-Man. But it doesn't feel like this is Sam Raimi off the leash and he is making Spider-Man. And maybe the closest you get to that is Spider-Man 3, where it's like absolutely batshit bonkers crazy.
I don't mind 3.
I don't mind 3. I don't mind 3 at all. And in actual fact, I think like all of like the emo Peter Parker stuff.
It's good fun.
It's really funny. I mean,
it's what I imagine Peter Parker would think is cool.
Yeah,
which
it
makes sense. That. You know what I mean?
He's a loser.
Yeah.
He's a loser, and it's gone to his head. And, people were like going, this isn't cool. And it's just like, Peter Parker isn't cool.
That's why.
That's the point. Like, my favourite bit in that I only noticed recently was he's walking down the road and he's clicking at all the women and all the stuff. And then he goes in and he buys himself that suit. And it's this he's got himself this cool black suit. But when he goes into the shop, all the posters on the outside of the shop say sales. And so it's like Peter Parker, I missed it for years, but it's just like, it's Peter Parker and he's buying this suit and you think, oh yeah, Peter Parker's bought himself this cool suit. And it's just like, no, the joke is he's bought himself a cheap suit.
Cheapest suit that he could find.
Cheapest suit he could afford, right? And it was, and that's funny because they're like, I think that if you miss that, you're kind of reading it like, is this meant to be cool? And it's like, no, it's not meant to be cool. It's meant to be cringe-makingly awful. And because you are cringing, it has worked, but you haven't given it the credit it deserves. You think that you've invented that, but
I always know when there's a film that I absolutely adore, it's when I have to get it on as many formats as I can. So Jaws, like, I have it on 8mm, I have it on video, I have it on Laserdisc, I have it on Blu-ray. Like, it's every time they've made a nicer version, I'm like, yeah, go on then. And then with Evil Dead, it was another one. Like, I've got the Japanese Laserdisc because it had cut stuff that wasn't in the other version, and it's all that kind of stuff. And like, nowadays I can watch whatever version it is, however I need to watch it. But I'm like, no. Let me get what was originally the gruesomest, the spookiest, the most bloodiest. And then talking about COVID lockdown sort of antics, I built a scale model of the cabin from the first Evil Dead.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, I'll send you some photos.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Yeah,
it's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I had to stop buying Evil Dead because there's only so many versions of the same. I mean, I used to get... But I've still got so many... I've got like 3 or 4 Army of Darknesses on VHS, and I've got kind of... Yeah, they had this amazing... I can't remember what... I think it might have been a German box set. And it's got the US... theatrical release, the UK theatrical release, the Australian TV edit. I think it's got 5 or 6 versions of the film, like the German version, and it's kind of like, oh my god, like because Army of Darkness, my friend had this compilation comic book called Total Carnage, and it had Bruce Campbell. I didn't know who he was. They used to do those free magazines that used to get, like, I think it was called Flicks. At the Odeon, and they did. And I remember it must have been 1991, But they had a like a preview section of what's coming next year, and it was called Medieval Dead. And it was like a little description of it, and there was a picture of Bruce Campbell, and I think that was the first time that it had entered my brain, and I linked it in with Return of the Living Dead and Night of the Living Dead and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So that was all like lumped in together in my head. I think Return of the Living Dead 3 was coming out that year as well. I think
sick.
they came out the same year. So and I never watched any of those films because they were all top shelfers, and I was too scared to watch them all.
Have you watched them since?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I mean, horror's my genre now, but like that's my go-to. But and then my friend had this comic book that was called Total Carnage, and it was like you'd get like 5 pages of different comic books like, throughout, and it was Army of Darkness, and it was so beautifully illustrated. It's like, if you can ever find it, I've got them as actual comic books now. But it's just so beautifully illustrated, and there was nothing that really kind of gave you the tone that it was a comedy. But the front had like Bruce Campbell, like an illustration of Bruce Campbell with a shotgun and his chainsaw, and you kind of like, that looks cool. And then eventually it came out in the video shop, and it said "Trapped in Time, Surrounded by Evil, Low on Gas," and I was like, "That's funny." And me and my sister were going to go. Our parents, it was the Easter holidays, and our parents were going to go and take us to see Beauty and the Beast on ice at Wembley Arena. And because I must have been 12, or I think I was about 12. And I think we'd just been to Disney in Orlando the year before, where we'd seen Beauty and the Beast. But we were staying in a hotel, and they had kind of like a vending machine in the lobby, and you could rent videos.
Oh, sick!
So we rented.
So fucking cool.
We had a day at the theme parks, and then we rented Beauty and the Beast, and we all fell asleep watching Beauty and the Beast. And so we're going to go.
Day.
It was great, and we're going to go and see it on ice. And then in the day, to fill up time before the evening, we were allowed to go to the video shop, and I rented out Army of Darkness. And then by the time I finished Army of Darkness, I wasn't interested in Beauty and the Beast anymore.
Keep your bastion. I can't do it no more.
I was a big boy, and I just thought it was the funniest film, and he was the coolest guy, and it was just brilliant. And then I remember I used to rent it out every week from the video shop. And my mum used to have to, it was 15 and I was 12 or 13, and my mum used to have to rent it out for me. And then eventually he started just letting me rent it out by myself, because he knew that I'd seen
it's going to you, what's it matter, yeah.
And I must have rented it out like 25 times by then. And my mum, who is a great mum, but it was unexpected that she bought me Army of Darkness on VHS.
It was a different time.
But she bought me Army of Darkness for Christmas without me even asking for it, because I rented it out so much, and I guess it saved her money.
Yeah.
But
just bought it from the video shop.
So I loved it. And then I was talking to my friend, like, I didn't have loads of friends at school, and I was a bit of a loner, and there was this one other kid in another classroom, and we were talking together, and it turned out he also liked Army of Darkness, and we were talking about it, and we must have talked about it for weeks. And then one day he mentioned like the ending in the supermarket, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, the ending is in the supermarket." And I was like, "No, the ending is him waking up in the future." And it turned out what had happened was I was brought up when they released Army of Darkness on video. It was the UK theatrical release, but when they sold it over to Sky, it had the American ending. So my friend had watched it on Sky Movies with the American ending, and I'd watched it on VHS. And then it was like, oh my God, there's an alternate cut. And then I could, I've had to see the American cut. And like Duke Nukem used to use, used to steal clip. They used the bubblegum line out of They Live, and they used Hail to the King and stuff from Army of Darkness. And there were these quotes that came up that weren't in Army of Darkness, that were in actually the American version of Army of Darkness, which is an alternate cut. And so eventually I tracked down the American cut, and I watched that, and I think they released that on kind of like a double DVD where you had the American and then the UK cut.
Yeah.
And then and the UK cut is much better, and the American cut, they reorganised the structure of the battle at the end, and there's no weight to it in the American cut, and it feels just like a series of vignettes that are strung together, whereas there's an actual build of tension, and then Henry the Red comes in at the end, and the way it's structured in the UK cut is much better, and they add in the London Bridge is falling down bit in the American cut, which is rubbish, and so they cut that out of the UK cut, and it's much better. And so the UK cut, I don't mind which ending it is. I prefer the nihilistic Planet of the Apes future ending.
Yeah.
To the American ending, but the American ending is, I think it's just what you saw first, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, I got this box set which has kind of like got 7 or 8 different cuts of it, and you're watching the Australian TV cut, and it's kind of like none of it's been finished off, and the camera angles in Army of Darkness and the camera work in Army of Darkness is great, but when you're watching the UK cut, it looks so amateur. The Australian cut, it looks so amateurish because it's obviously stuff that, like, experimental shots that they've just whacked I think they probably had to reach a 2-hour window for TV, and the film is like, I think the UK cut is 92 minutes and the American cut is maybe 86 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Like there's like huge like time jumps in her and it's not just footage added and footage subtracted. It's like different, they've like mixed it all around a bit. It's not.
You're making me want to rewatch this in every variation now.
Well, it's not that it's an unrecognisable film, and I think to the untrained eye you might not notice much differences. But it was my favourite film growing up. It's the one that I watched every weekend. You'd watch it on the Friday night, the Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. Your friends would come over, you'd watch it again. You'd take it back to the video shop, and I'd just watch it over and over and over again. And so when you have like a different edit to it, it is jarring. But yeah, it's kind of like, it's just, I don't know, I just love it. I just love the film. But the UK cut is just, I tell you what it is. It's like the UK cut was very difficult to find with the apocalyptic ending on it. You'd sometimes get the UK cut with the supermarket ending on it, and if you were ever showing like a friend or a girlfriend or a partner or anyone, it would always be like, I don't know which version to show them.
Yeah.
And so you'd end up watching the film, and then you'd watch the ending, and then you'd say, but this is the better end, and then you'd have to like restart this thing, and then you'd have to get the extra ending, and it's kind of not a very satisfying film sharing experience, because it's like, I don't know which version this is, and I would, if you're going to watch it for the first time, you have to watch the UK version because you can't watch the American version. When you
this frustrates me so much when you pick up a film and they're like, do you want to watch, especially with old Hong Kong films, they're like, do you want to watch the Cantonese version or do you want to watch the original like Chinese version? And you're like, I don't know. Like, you have to give me more information. Like, obviously I want to watch the original theatrical version because that's the one we all know. But if you're going to tell me, but actually, a bit like Blade Runner, it really needed a bit of tweaking before we got to a good version, then we went a bit too far. And you're like, which is the one? And then you Google it and people are like, well, this is the one I saw first and that's why it's better. And you're like, is it better because it's that, or is it because it's...
Yeah.
And you don't know.
It's the reason I don't go back and watch Blade Runner or Close Encounters, because there's so many versions of it. It's kind of like, if I'm going to sit down, I want to watch the version.
Yeah.
But I think I've seen the original cut of Blade Runner once with the voiceover, but I watched the director's cut when that came out in 91 or 92.
Something like that, yeah. They did that big box set of all of them. That's when I watched them all.
There's like 5 versions.
Yeah.
So what? You actually like set aside some time and you said, this is the project I'm going to do. I'm going to watch all the Blade Runners. Yeah.
I'm that kind of guy, much like you by the sounds things. Where
no, I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
I think,
I'm going to watch it, all versions, see what there is, see the differences, know the differences, and go like, okay, cool. Didn't like that one, did like that one. Know why? No, I don't know why. You know.
But that's because we love everything about films, and it's like, and I think some people are just kind of like,
I've seen it. Why do I need to see it again?
You know, it's a piece of entertainment, or it's a time killer, or it's kind of like they'd be just as happily watching, you know, EastEnders or Strictly Come Dancing, or is there a film on, you know, whereas I don't really have much interest in TV. I specifically
like. To the point where I only just watched 6 Feet Under this year because it's been on my list of like, it's meant to be good telly. I'll get to it eventually. Because every time I don't watch a film, I feel like I'm wasting time. I could be watching films over here.
Yeah, I think when Breaking Bad finished at 4 series, I was like, okay, I'll watch that. So I watched it all when it finished. But it was something like Game of Thrones, and everyone's going on and on about Game of Thrones. And it's Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones. And you're like, oh, God, I don't, it's never ending. It's endless. And it's like, I don't want to commit to 50 weeks of my life. I want to commit to 2 hours where I get a beginning, a middle, and an end in one go. And then, you know, Game of Thrones gets to the final season and everyone says it's shit, and you kind of like go, yeah.
Good.
Well, I'm not going to watch it now. Do you know what I mean?
Glad I didn't waste my fucking time.
And but yeah, you know, I've got a bit of OCD, I think, with it as well. But I watched a video podcast. What's it called? The Movie Dumpster. I watched the Movie Dumpster every so often, and they were talking about one of the Cheech and Chong films, and I was like, I've never seen a Cheech and Chong film, and I grew up with Robert Rodriguez, who was kind of like, he was my you know, I liked him more than Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
And I thought El Mariachi, you know, I saw Desperado. Go back and watch El Mariachi. Oh my God! And I think those two films, and maybe the first Spy Kids film, I didn't love From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh really?
But I think I just think Desperado is one of the coolest films ever made.
I just rewatched Planet Terror. And
oh yeah,
I'll be honest. Like when they first came out, I was actually more of a Death Proof guy, and I was like mainly for Kurt. But I was like, this is rad. I love this. Planet Terror is fine. I then watched the full Grindhouse at the Prince Charles a few years back with the trailers in the middle, and I was like, I think they're both all right. And then recently I watched them again, and I was like, Death Proof is dog shit. I cannot stand Tarantino's writing anymore. But Planet Terror, I was like, this is such a good time.
I think Death Proof would have been really greatly improved if there was a murder at the beginning. It takes so long to get going. It's so talky, and I know what he's doing. He's trying to make it like a Grindhouse film where they didn't have a big budget, so there were loads of talky scenes. But if they'd have kind of started the film off with kind of like a murder and then built up to the next one, I think it would have solved a lot of the problems. But
like, there's plenty of films. Like, is it Road Games? The
oh wow, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that starts with a beautiful murder at the very beginning.
Is that Tom Holland? Is that, or is that it's the guy that did Psycho 2, right?
Is it? It might be. It's got Jamie Lee in it.
Jamie Lee Curtis and
Stacey Keach.
Not Powers Booth, Stacey Keach.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. The other day I was like,
they're the same.
There's John Saxon, there's Powers Booth, there's Stacey Keach, and who's the other one?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny because I always get Powers Booth and Stacey Keach mixed up in my head. There's Roy Steiger, Roy Scheider, and Rob Schneider.
Which one's in Deuce Bigelow?
It's Rod.
It's Rod.
Rod Scheider. What were we talking about?
We would go. Let's backtrack on that. Road Games starts with a beautiful kill, and then you get a nice bit of nothing, which gives some nice world building. And you're right, Death Proof would have been really beneficial if we had got a quick kill, and then the follow of the girls. Yeah. Then another kill.
It takes so long to get going. It's the Alfred Hitchcock thing, isn't it? It's you can have two people talking and then a bomb goes off and you get a shock. Or you can show the bomb underneath the table and them talking and then you've got the tension of the bomb all the way through it. If you know that there's something horrific coming. Yeah, Jaws. You know, there's a shark attack, and then it takes a while of character development, and then there's another shark attack, right? But you need to know that you're watching a movie about a shark, right? So I was a massive Robert Rodriguez fan, with Desperado. Why would we talk about Robert Rodriguez though? I always do this. I go off on a tangent and then I kind of have to track back because
you were saying you watched.
Oh, OCD. So I knew. I knew. I do have.
Oh
ADHD,
yes, going back and watching someone's back catalogue.
So I was like, so I saw like Cheech Marin, obviously, I knew him, and there was also a film called National Lampoon Senior Trip, which had Tommy Chong was the bus driver, and so I was really aware of Cheech Marin. I liked him a lot. I didn't really know Tommy Chong that much, but I was aware of his existence. This is last year. Oh,
and I'm agreeing because I only watched Up in Smoke like 2 years ago.
I rented out Up in Smoke off of Amazon. I streamed it, and I couldn't believe how good it was. Yeah. I thought it was like when it started. Do you know what? I tell a lie. I rented out a Cheech and Chong film from my video shop when I was very young, so maybe like 8 or 9 or 10, and it was one of the later ones.
Right.
And it was kind of really shoddy, and that's what I thought it was. When you watch the original Up in Smoke, it's a proper movie. It's got the opening credits are really cool, and they play that Lowrider song, and it's just really cool. And Cheech Marin is cool.
It's cool as fuck.
And it's just like and then Tommy Chong, the bit in the beginning in the car when Tommy Chong is eating all the drugs. And the bit when he realises that Cheech Marin has taken the most amount of acid that he's ever seen a human take, and it's like that bit was just like I was, and all of a sudden I just absolutely fell in love with Tommy Chong, and I was like, oh my god, he's so brilliant. And so I rented that off Amazon, and then I went on eBay and I got a job lot where it's just like I've got all 7 of the Cheech and Chong films now, and then every night I'd sit down and I work my way through another one.
So do you get Scream magazine?
Do I get it now?
Yeah.
No, I don't get any. I don't get any film magazines anymore.
So Scream magazine is the only one I get still, and they usually do like a retrospective, let's say, of like all of the Children of the Corn films or all of the Texas Chainsaw films, and then I'll see that and I'll be like, you're right, I should watch all of them. And then I'll go do what you do, and it's just sort of like I'll go to there's Megastore Collectibles in Shrewsbury, which is a secondhand DVD shop. It's spectacular. I love that place because I'll go in with like $20 and I'll sort of be like, okay, I'm going to get all of these films, and I'll walk out with all of them, and I'll go and sit in my office and I'll just watch them all, and I'm like, I love this. Now I know. Now I've seen all of X.
And I've done them. I've done them in one go. Yeah. And you go, tick, I've done that.
Done that. Add that to Letterboxd. Problem solved.
There are a couple of those Cheech and Chong films that I'll go back to. I mean, there is a drop-off, and then by the time you get to the 7th one, it's really homophobic and horrible. And you kind of like go, oh, is that what I've been watching for 6 films?
Oh, no!
But when Scream 6 came out a couple of years ago, I went back and I rewatched all the Scream films, and then I watched Scream 6. I didn't redo it for Scream 7 because it was still fairly fresh, but...
no, I love doing it. And when I watched The Matrix recently, I cancelled some plans, and a friend sent me the gif of Morpheus like doing the kung fu thing, and I was like, you're right, I should watch all the Matrix films, including the Animatrix. And he was like, what? I didn't say that. And I was like, that's what you fucking told me. So then I sat and I watched Matrix, Animatrix, Reloaded, Revolutions, and then pretended there wasn't a 4th.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because it can backfire, can't it? Because Avatar 2 came out, and I've still not met anyone that's seen it. But even though it's the 2nd or 3rd biggest movie of all time, the amount of people that I know that have seen it is like non-existent.
Yeah,
But when it was coming out, I had a girlfriend that hadn't seen any films whatsoever, which it was kind of because I think she liked films.
But just hadn't had time to delve into them.
She wasn't brought up in a family that had videos and stuff like that. And,
weird. Can I say, I find that weird. I have an ex-wife, and she was from a family that didn't watch films. And, like, I think I saw like their DVD collection, and it was one little shelf inside a cupboard, and it was just upstairs, downstairs, and I just was just like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't watch films? They're like, oh, we do other things. I'm like, yeah, but I do other things, but I also watch films, and my family watch films, and we all sit round and we watch a film together, and then mum and dad will make a reference, and I'll be like, what's that from? And they're like, oh, it's from this film. And then it's part of my personal journey to go and find that film and then watch it. And to me, it just makes so much sense that you would engage. And I find it very weird when people aren't film people. And I'm not saying they need to be, I've done a degree in it. I make films for my job. Like, film is everything to me. But I imagine the next level down is the normal amount of film consumption. Sure,
but I think film is visible, right? You have celebrities and Hollywood and posters, and they're on the side of buses, and they're in supermarkets, and so they're everywhere. So if you love films, it's everywhere. You can see it everywhere. But if you're not into films, then you can blinker it off, and it doesn't.
It's just people. Yeah.
If I was obsessed with football, I would see it everywhere. Right.
That's true.
And I did a short-lived podcast called the movie quiz, and Harry Hill was on it.
Sick.
And he's my friend, and
he is hilarious. Are you going to be on his podcast?
I did his podcast when it was a podcast. It's a video podcast now, so I don't think they're repeating guests yet. But, I did it, and he came on and did it. He goes, "Oh, Nick, it's a great podcast. It's just a shame it's so niche." And I was like, "What do you mean it's niche?" He goes, "Well, films, you know." And I was like, "What do you mean films are niche?" And I think if you're really into films, then you can't think of anything other than films. But I think films are niche. Like the majority of the time, I have to suggest a film to my family and say, "Do you want to watch a film?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, sure." But it wouldn't be like top of the cards. They'd just have the TV on. I had this. This is a two-parter. This little story, but it's the first part of it is that she hadn't seen Avatar. And Avatar 2 was coming out, and because it was such a huge, it's a huge blockbuster spectacle. It was the first Avatar film in however many years, like 15 years.
Yeah, about that.
And he'd been working on it for all this time. He goes, Avatar 2's coming out. And so she goes, well, should we go and see Avatar 2? And it's just like, well, yeah, but if you're going to go and see Avatar 2, you may as well see Avatar 1. And if you're going to watch Avatar 1, rather than like watching it on your laptop or a tablet or on the TV, the film isn't that good. But the thing that is amazing about it is the 3D. So if you're going to watch it, let's watch it at the cinema. So we went to the cinema. We went to this lovely cinema called the Odeon Luxembourg, just in Angel, and it's like this underground Art Deco kind of
beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's like 10 seats, and they're all like recliners.
Oh yeah,
it's great. And so we went to see Avatar in the best possible circumstances we could. And by the end of the first one, we were like, can't be bothered to watch the second one. But the flip side of that is she hadn't seen anything, and it was like you'd be like, so what do you mean you haven't seen Terminator? It's just like, no, not seen Terminator. It's just like, you've not seen Terminator, you've not seen... She hadn't seen any of, like, the... there's kind of like... These are the films that you need to watch before you watch the other films, right? These are the films that we all were brought up on, like Back to the Future...
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2, like, these are the blockbusters, Jurassic Park, these are the movies that we all grew up watching that are just like, these are the standards, you will like these.
Yes.
Once you've got a taste for these, then you can start digging and go and see other stuff, right? Which, I mean, to be fair, we watched Casablanca together, and she really liked it, and I think Casablanca's a really kind of like, it's like a movie, It's not like it's not a film. It's like a big swanky kind of glossy, romantic movie, and it's got really good pacing to it, and it's got real good humour that drags you through it, and it's just got absolutely everything that you want out of a movie.
Did you see the piano at the Academy Museum?
What, from Casablanca?
Yeah.
No. Where was it?
There was one at the Academy Museum. And there was another one at Warner Brothers.
Oh, really? Oh, we didn't go to Warner Brothers. But,
I did a fucking private tour, mate.
Oh,
I went over for I was over in LA, and it happened to be on my birthday. So I was like, I'm going to treat myself. And I did like a full-on thing. And they were like, this is the piano. And I was like...
I was on tour in England, and I had a gig in Southampton on Wednesday and a gig in Newcastle the following Tuesday, and Halloween was on the Friday.
Oh, right.
So I got on a plane, went to Los Angeles, watched John Carpenter, went to Jaws, went to see Back to the Future IMAX, and then bought some weed, and then came back home, and then I got back on stage in Newcastle, and I was like, thank fuck the planes didn't fucking cancel. But so you're in this situation with your partner or whoever, and they haven't seen any of the films that are just sort of like cultural touchstones for people, and so you get to watch these films for the first time again through their eyes, and it's like it's kind of it's great. But this is the fucking mind fucker, right? She didn't know that Arnold Schwarzenegger was a good guy in Terminator 2. So, like,
oh my fucking Christ,
that was ruined for everyone in the trailers when it came out, right? And all the promotion. I was too young to see Terminator 2, and it came out at the cinema. So
but I knew, we all knew.
We all knew he was a good guy, right? So then, when you go back as a kid and watch Terminator, and
she's like,
and Terminator 2. We watched Terminator, and she enjoyed it. Yeah. And then, like, 50 minutes into Terminator 2, her mind is blown. And you're like going, this is how it was meant to work. You're maybe in the 1% of people where the twist in Terminator 2 actually worked because it wasn't ruined for you in all of that. And you kind of go, that's magic. That is magic.
I'm jealous of your experience.
Yeah, I know. It was just sort of like, oh, well, yeah, I was jealous. I was jealous of her. Like, imagine that. Oh, God, yeah.
That'd be sick. That'd be fucking sick, man. We should actually get into the proper questions proper.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Otherwise... Mm-hmm. We're going forever. Also, you've kind of hinted at some of the answers, and I can kind of see where your your personal journey through film has developed and how it's come around. But what was the first film you saw at the cinema?
I mean, I can't remember specifically what the first film I saw at the cinema was. I remember we were living in London and we were part of the Barbican Kids Club, and my dad would drop us off on Saturdays, me and my sister. My sister's 3 years older. And he'd drop us off at the Barbican on Saturdays. And I think he'd sit in the lobby and he'd do sort of paperwork and stuff for work. And the ones I specifically remember watching was Ghostbusters, Flash Gordon and Sound of Music. And if it wasn't one of those specifically, it would have been on one of those occasions where we went. My sister's first film was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Because famously, when the dwarfs turned up, my sister got so excited that she started jumping up and down, and she knocked the contact lens out of my mum's eye.
Whoa.
And my mum had to spend like the rest of the film searching around for it on the floor. So I know that was my sister's first film, but mine was either Ghostbusters or Flash Gordon or Sound of Music, I think. It would have been like 1984, 1985.
I still haven't seen Sound of Music.
What?
Not for any like wanky big tough guy reason. It's just it wasn't on my radar as a kid. Like we didn't watch it as a kid, and then as an adult, like I've gotten into musicals a lot more.
Yeah,
but it's just never, you know.
I would say that even if you don't like musicals, I think The Sound of Music, despite the title of the film, it kind of works as more than I think it's a perfect movie. I think it's always stuck with me, especially as a child when you watch it. There's characters in it that let you down. The Nazis.
They always let us down, don't they?
The Nazis take over halfway through the film, so it's a film of two halves. The first half of the film is so joyous and magical and beautiful, and the second half of the film is just filled with kind of like dread and it's not like
just like Irreversible.
It's like just like Irreversible. It's it like there's this heavy weight over the second half of the film that's not necessarily but it's kind of it's always there. Julie Andrews is amazing in it. Christopher Plummer is just like one of the all-time great screen performances. You know, he's just amazing in it, and the songs are great. But as a child, you loved the first half. There's a bit when they do a marionette bit in the film where they've got puppets and they're entertaining the kids, and or the kids are entertaining the parents. And as a kid, that really appeals to you. But then the Nazis come in halfway through, and it's kind of like, as a child, you can understand. You know, one of the girls is in love with a post boy, and they sing "I Am 16, Going on 17" to each other in the greenhouse, and it's beautiful. And then he joins the Nazi party halfway through, and when he turns up, you know, you're on her side. You're like, oh God, it's like a betray. You know, you feel betrayed, and it's it's just like it's a wonderful film, and I'll watch it like every couple of years.
Okay.
I think the last time I saw it was when Christopher Plummer died, and I went through a load of his films that I'd never seen before, and you kind of, you know, Christopher Plummer was amazing. You know. I saw Murder by Decree, which is him playing Sherlock Holmes, and you kind of think, God, he's probably one of the best on-screen Sherlock Holmes. He's perfect for it. He's got the right face, you know. He's got the right nose. He just and it's Christopher Plummer. He's got like that twinkle in his eye where he's kind of intelligent, but he's taking the piss. And then there's the other one. He made these two kind of Canadian sort of TV movie things. So one of them was Murder by Decree, and the other one was Silent Partner with Elliot Gould, and he plays have you seen that?
I haven't. I know of that one though.
He plays like this like murderous bank robber thief guy, and he's just one of the most evil characters you've ever seen, and you put that performance next to his performance as Captain Von Trapp in Sound of Music, and you just go, the range this guy has is incredible. And then he's like the Duke of Wellington in Waterloo, and it's kind of, you couldn't think of a better casting for the Duke of Wellington than Christopher Plummer. So
next to Roy Schneider,
and Rob Steiger. I remember that when Roy Scheider died, Stephanie Beacham was on the Oscars, and they were talking to her in the breaks in between. You know, she was on doing the Sky One footage or whatever it was, Sky Movies footage coverage, and she was calling him Roy Schneider, and I was like, your name is Stephanie Beacham, right? But you must have been called Stephanie Beachman your whole life. You must know.
Don't do it.
You knew him as well. You're calling him Roy Schneider, and it's like, I can't remember why I'm talking about that either now. But God, fucking hell. Sound of Music. Christopher Plummer was incredible in that, and then Ghostbusters was one of those things where I didn't know that was a comedy until much later, because it was a horror film.
Interesting, yeah.
It was terrifying, just like the ghost, the library ghost at the beginning,
terrifying,
and the taxi skeleton zombie thing.
I mean, that skeleton zombie thing is a real. I think that's an out of the blue piece of horror. Like that could be in an Evil Dead or a Return of the Living Dead, and it doesn't really belong in a PG rated ghost film.
That's an Iron Maiden album cover. It's like, it's terrifying. Yeah. And you go, oh, but even Slimer was scary. And I loved Dan Aykroyd because I was a child, and I think you kind of relate to him a little bit more than Sex Pest Bill Murray. But Sex Pest Peter Venkman.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's right.
But as you get older, you know, you even appreciate Egon a lot more when you get older. You know, I never found Egon particularly funny, but
I tell you what, he's always been my favourite. But Winston,
yeah, because
the line, if there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say. Like,
Yeah.
even as a kid, I was like, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. I've seen shit that'll turn you white, and it was only much later on that you realise, oh, he's black.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh, that's the
another
joke. Yeah,
that's the joke.
Yeah.
All right, okay. But like, yeah, and I suppose there was like Dickless here, and he goes, "Is it true?"
It's true.
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick. You know, and then like little asides that are going on in the office where it's like, well, that's what I heard, and because he heard it 2 seconds earlier. So it's like, but when you're little, it's only really it's not working as a sophisticated comedy. There are moments of lightness, and everyone liked the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and all that stuff. But really, it really worked as a horror film when I was little, and it was only much later on that I realised it was funny. And by that point, I was all in with the real Ghostbusters cartoon series, and I loved Ghostbusters too. But I loved
Ghostbusters too. Last time I was in New York, I went to the Firehouse.
Oh yeah, I mean the Firehouse is weird, isn't it? Because you can kind of walk past it without realising it's that, and then you kind of like go, "Oh no, that is it."
Oh, that's the one. And then they've put a barrier up because people are like, "You can't walk in here. This is a real working firehouse." And they're like, "Oh, but can I just fuck off?"
And if you go on tiptoes and look through the window, you can see the Ghostbusters 2 kind of like marquee sign that they had. But so I remember that, and Flash Gordon was the other one, which like really stuck with me. Which again was. It's just everything because I didn't watch Star Wars. I think I'd probably seen bits of Return of the Jedi, but I hadn't watched Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back or anything until I was probably in secondary school, so maybe like 12 or 13. I wasn't brought up with it. My sister went to see Return of the Jedi when I was 2 or 3.
Right.
And again, came back with the sticker book with all the Ewok stuff, and it was like, that looks good. And I had friends with all of the toys and stuff growing up, but I never really had any context for it. And then when I got older, I was still 10 or 11 or 12, but then I watched the Star Wars films. And
it wasn't until the 99 or like 97 re-release that I was fully aware of Star Wars.
Oh right, yeah.
Like,
well, having said that, I do remember that in the going back to the Barbican Kids Club, I do remember that they showed Caravan of Courage, the Ewok adventure film. So there was sort of like some experience with that, and I think the kid was deliberately cast in that to look like Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
And so there was kind of in my child brain, I couldn't quite differentiate what I was watching.
All young white kids look the same.
Flash Gordon, they had the same bowl hair.
Yeah, exactly.
But Flash Gordon, which was obviously kind of like, put into production as a Star Wars knockoff. It's so much more than that. It's and also Peter Duncan was in it, and he was from Blue Peter, and so to see Peter Duncan get mercilessly murdered by a tree scorpion.
Yeah.
In a game of Russian roulette, it was kind of like, oh my god!
I love it when you catch like early performances from people that you now know. So, have you ever seen I Bought a Vampire Motorcycle?
No.
Neil Morrissey film.
Oh yeah, I do know of this. Yes,
wonderful, but it's like that's Neil Morrissey. Remember him back. That's not what's he doing, And then you're like, it's great. I love it.
I saw a clip of a film maybe last week of Neil Morrissey fighting a turd.
Oh, that's the film.
Is that the?
That's I Bought a Vampire Motorcycle.
Oh well, that's so funny. I saw a clip of it last week, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Yeah, right. So I have seen a bit of it.
I'll send you the video. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, sure. I really loved Flash Gordon. I think the special effects are great, and as a child, Brian Blessed was brilliant, and I loved Flash, and I loved, and it was really kind of like confusingly sexy. But the costumes were brilliant, and the bad guys were brilliant. It kind of was a little bit like He-Man, And the sky the sky, the way that they used the ink in the water to make all the clouds, the pink clouds swirl and all of that. There's Timothy Dalton. There's so many like set pieces in it that are amazing, and the soundtrack is great. And is his name Topol, out of Fiddler on the Roof? And it's just got this amazing kind of art. I mean, Flash Gordon as a child was just absolutely just everything you wanted out of a movie, and I still love it. I still think it's brilliant.
Excellent. I will add these. Like, normally I try and find at least one film from a guest and be like, oh, I haven't seen that, I'll add it. You've added a few so far, so I'm quite pleased about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, good. Oh good.
And obviously we should follow each other on Letterboxd. I just broke 4,000 films.
Oh really? I'm so bad with it. I'll watch it and then I'll forget to do it.
Oh no, I'm straight on it.
And then I have to kind of like go back through my Amazon history and kind of go, what did you watch last week?
Yeah. I have to check my IMDb search because there's a chance I would have done the trivia while watching the film, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I watched that, so and then having to go through that. But so we have alluded to this next question, but what film did you watch over and over again as a kid? I'm guessing.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I'd say Army of Darkness as a teenager, or like between being 12 and being like all the way up to university. In fact, I watched it and I watched it and I watched it and I watched it and I watched it, and it was like my barometer of whether you can be in my inner circle.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
where it's kind of like, if you don't like Army of Darkness, then you kind of don't like me.
Fair.
And if they could get all the way through Army of Darkness, I'd be like, great. So that was kind of like the one that I watched probably the most. But then Ghostbusters I would watch a lot. And then there was like an Arnold Schwarzenegger season that was on ITV. They did a Diet Coke ITV season in the early 90s, I'd say. And they showed kind of like, I think it was Commando, Predator, Red Heat, Running Man.
Beautiful.
Raw Deal. Maybe Raw Deal was in there as well. But Commando and Predator I watched over and over again. I watched Commando 2 nights ago.
Oh, beautiful.
It was literally just starting. He had the tree trunk over his shoulder. The credits hadn't even started yet.
Yeah.
And I switched on the TV and it was just starting. I was like, fuck it, I'm watching this.
Might as well sit down and watch this.
That's 88 minutes. I'm not getting back again, Arnold. Commando is... I know it's a B movie, but it is such a relentlessly entertaining B movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger is like, if Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to be like Chuck Norris, and these were the movies that he was regularly making, Commando is a jewel in the crown.
That's his Invasion USA.
Yeah, but he didn't make loads of those films. He was always swapping genres, and he always had one foot in light entertainment and comedy. He started off doing kind of the villain and Hercules Goes Bananas and all that stuff.
Cactus Jack.
Cactus Jack, and then he got like hijacked by the action genre. And, like even Conan is kind of a fantasy movie. Terminator's a science fiction movie. And then he started making like these things where he's like a man in the jungle with guns, and it's kind of like he did a bit of that. But as soon as he did, I'm still there. As soon as he did Predator, he went off and did Twins, and and he was kind of putting together his crew. So it'd be like he worked repeatedly with Ivan Reitman, John McTiernan, and James Cameron, and they were like his guys that he'd go back to.
But did you know that he...
Could you imagine a world where Paul Verhoeven directed Running Man over Paul Michael Glaser? It's kind of like
I keep forgetting it's Paul Michael Glaser.
It's kind of like because that is what's wrong with Running Man. The reason why Running Man isn't a classic.
Starsky made it. That's why.
It's got everything going for it, but it feels cheap. It feels like TV. Whereas if Paul Verhoeven, it's essentially he did Running Man. He saw RoboCop and he went, "That's how we should have done it," and then he made Total Recall. So I was a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan when I was young, and then I kind of transitioned over to Stallone in the 90s because Stallone basically had a film out a year.
Yeah.
And I'd go and see all of his films. Whereas Arnold Schwarzenegger, he did Terminator 2 and then he took 2 years off before he did Last Action Hero, and then that was a flop, and so he was how do I fix this? And so he was just like, all right, I'll go back with James Cameron and I'll make kind of like a comedy action movie. And, you know, but Stallone was kind of, no pun intended, on the ropes after Rocky V and Oscar and Stop or My Mum Will Shoot. And so then, he came back in 1993 with Cliffhanger at the beginning of the year. Yeah. Demolition Man at the end of the year, and then you like every year you'd have like Assassins, Daylight, Judge Dredd, The Specialist. It was kind of like there would be a Stallone film every year through the 90s. Yeah, Assassins. I loved those films. and I'd go to the cinema. I thought Judge Dredd was an absolute masterpiece when I first saw it. I just absolutely loved him.
It's such a shame. Like, as a Judge Dredd film, it's a piece of shit. But as a almost sort of like a Demolition Man, not sequel, but like equal, if that makes sense. As a sci-fi film, it works as just a standalone sci-fi film. It
looks like there's not loads of original ideas in it, but Cityscape is Blade Runner, and the biker scene is the speeder bikes in Return of the Jedi, and there's all this stuff that you kind of like looks familiar, but it's done with 1995 special effects.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, they've updated all of these things. So you're watching this, oh my God, this is the future of science. This is incredible. So when I saw it as a child, it was brilliant. Demolition Man is incredible.
Oh, 90s Sandra Bullock has a lot to answer for.
Oh, what? I mean,
today's Sandra Bullock as well, but 90s Sandra Bullock.
You got Demolition Man, and then the following year you got Speed, and it was like, here she is. She's the one.
It.
She's the new one. She's great. But Judge Dredd, being kind of like, I know what Judge Dredd is without having read it. I thought as a film it was fine, but obviously when you watch it, when you grow, it's not great. And Stallone is kind of doing this, he's a very unlikable character, and Armand Assante is like chewing the scenery.
I love it.
Well, if it wasn't for Judge Dredd, I wouldn't have watched the Mambo Kings, right? And the Mambo Kings is an amazing film.
Totally worth it.
And then you see Desperado, and it's like, oh, it's Antonio Banderas from the Mambo Kings.
I think my dad once did karaoke with Danny Cannon, who directed Judge Dredd.
And The Young Americans, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
You did I Still Know What You Did Last Summer? Oh, sick. No,
yeah.
That's cool.
Danny Cannon. Oh, right. What's he like?
Well, that's the thing. Like, we were over, it was when I was about 9, we went over to LA because a friend of the family was directing, Paulie with Tony Shalhoub, the Talking Parrot film.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So John, a friend of the family, he directed that. So we went over to LA to sort of just hang out while they were shooting and stuff. And then Mum, Dad, Julie and John all went out, and I think they did karaoke with Danny Cannon. So I never met him, but they all speak fondly of that night.
Yeah, I just think, be careful what you wish for, isn't it? He got to direct a huge budget science fiction movie starring Sylvester Stallone, and he got absolutely ravaged by it. I think, especially mid-90s Stallone, he must have been an absolute fucking nightmare to work with.
He's top of the world. He's competing against Arnie. Like, there's no one else Western cinema-wise that's getting box office numbers. Like,
also, Arnie has had his first real big flop, and Sylvester Stallone must have, even though they were technically friends then, Sylvester Stallone must have been, delighted by all that.
I will say, though, if Sylvester Stallone straight out of the gate getting an Oscar for Rocky, like, I could always, no matter what you say about, like, oh, who's got the best numbers, who's got the biggest biceps, like, he can be like, my little gold friend here begs to differ. Like,
well, what would Stallone's career have been like without Schwarzenegger? Because
he wouldn't have had the other person to play off, and he'd be the only.
First Blood was a drama. It was a drama about a Vietnam War vet. It wasn't really an action film.
At
It was
all.
it was a survival thriller, and you know, he was doing stuff like Nighthawks,
Yeah.
and then, you know, Terminator came along. James Cameron came along. He wrote Rambo 2, and
Turned it into that, yeah.
Stallone was obsessed with kind of like, all right, I need big muscles too. And then Arnie made Commando, and it's like, right, okay, I'm going to do that. And, you know, the 1980s movie landscape, these were the biggest films around. And the 1980s landscape would have been completely different without Arnold Schwarzenegger arriving on the set.
I absolutely love Arnie. Like, there's, even from back in his sort of early days when he was like a builder, and like on like in like Venice and stuff, like when he was doing his bodybuilding and then using all of his bodybuilding mates to create a building firm, and then being just known for that guy, and then sort of being like this idea that before he even made a single film, he was a millionaire through entrepreneur stuff. And I'm just like, he's the absolute epitome of the American dream, even marrying a fucking Kennedy. And like, I don't know why there is something about it. I'm just like, I fucking love you, man. Like,
he's one of the most charismatic people on the planet, you know.
Yeah.
When I was young, and I don't agree with this, but everyone used to say that he was a terrible actor, and you kind of go, well, why is he so good? And there's more to him than the acting. He's a movie star.
Yes,
he is. But he is the reason to go and see a movie. Back then, you wouldn't go and see, I'm going to see the new Iron Man film or the new Thor film. You'd go, I'm going to see the new Arnold Schwarzenegger film.
Yeah.
And he was a real life superhero that was put in these situations, and you go, he's incredible. He's physically impressive, he's physically spectacular. He could do one-liners in a way that a kind of more coherent Stallone couldn't.
Well, his one-liners. Do you know who his comedy fucking mentor was?
Who?
Milton Berle.
Oh wow!
Like, you're gonna tell me you're gonna be fucking hand tutored by Milton Berle, and you're not going to come up with some absolute bangers with delivery?
Lucille Ball gave him his first break. He had a part on the Lucille Ball show, and she took him under her wing, and she kind of like took him through Hollywood when he first started. He's just got so much. You can't underestimate how charismatic he is. You know, you compare him to kind of like, who I love, Dolph Lundgren, but you compare him to a Dolph Lundgren, and it's kind of like it's a different ball game.
Look, Showdown in Little Tokyo is a great film, but
yeah,
he's not amazing in it.
No, he's. You feel like he's being pushed to the absolute edges, limits of his ability, whereas Schwarzenegger, you know, he's not bad, and I would say like one of his early ones, like Predator, he's excellent in it. He's brilliant.
Yeah, perfect for that role. There's no way you could have done anyone else.
I would say Predator's another one of those perfect films where it's kind of like, you know, you got a jungle full of the biggest guys on the planet, and they're getting picked off one by one, like babysitters in Halloween, you know. And it's kind of it's one of the best action films, science fiction films, Arnold Schwarzenegger films, war films,
but like even
thrillers,
like Bill
horrors.
Duke is amazing in it, and you're just like, how comes you get Bill Duke and Shane Black as actors who then go on to make some absolutely stonkingly great films themselves, and you're just
Sister
like,
Act 2, Back in the Habit. That's so bonkers, isn't it, that Bill Duke directed Sister Act 2?
I was going to say Deep Cover, but sure.
Yeah, but the lineup of those guys, they're all brilliant.
Jesse the Body
Ventura. They're just Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers. We got Apollo Creed in it. You know?
Yeah,
we killed Apollo Creed before Rocky killed Apollo Creed, or maybe it was the same year. But you know, it was. Like Predator's a fantastic film, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is great in it. And what I would say, I mean, I think I've kind of made peace with it. I'd say his two one-liners that come in within about a 2-minute period of each other where he goes knock knock, and then he goes stick around, and you kind of go, they're so jarring in that film because that film doesn't really need any Arnie one-liners. But I guess what they're doing is they're trying to set it up like this is your typical classic.
This is an Arnie film. Movie. That's what we got.
And now halfway through, we're going to do it at dusk till dawn, and we're going to change genres. But yeah, I think he's great. So when I was little, my real true love was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I would just watch his films over and over and over.
He was my first. He was my first like completionist journey, if that makes sense. It was him, then Bruce Willis. Like I just wanted to watch everything they were in. I was just like, I have to watch everything. I have to, and then it became Jackie Chan films.
Yeah, right.
So
okay.
that's my progression. So yeah. I mean, it could be, but what was the first 18-rated film you saw? I mean, you mentioned Predator and Evil Dead. Even though Evil Dead was 15, wasn't it?
Evil Dead was an 18, but...
3, sorry. Evil Dead 3.
Army of Darkness was a 15.
Yeah.
And that was later. I think that was... I watched Evil Dead maybe when I was about 15. I just found the whole thing really terrifying, and I thought it was going to be unbearable. But I loved it when I finally saw it. And I wouldn't really count those Arnold Schwarzenegger films because they were taped off TV and all of like the swearing and the violence was cut out. I know that in 1990, Total Recall came out on video, and I went round my friend's house, and he was a year younger than me, but his parents let him watch anything. And I wasn't allowed to watch 18s. And I went round my friend's house, and his dad had rented out Total Recall, and they were all sat in the living room, and they just all watched Total Recall, but I wasn't allowed to watch it. So I sat in the room, but I looked at the carpet for the entire way through the film, and I listened to Total Recall because I'm such a good boy.
Such a good boy.
And so... just the squelch sound effects of every kind of like
arms getting
bullet wound and like and that was just as traumatic. I would say that the first proper 18 that I watched was James, my friend at school who liked Army of Darkness, was called James Norris, and he lent me Die Hard. And my sister was had like a... Maybe I got home from school first, or maybe my sister had after-school activities. I remember watching... I had Die Hard in a VHS from, Shopport VHS that I borrowed off a friend. And I probably watched it in like 20-minute installments while my mum went out to pick my sister up. I'd go upstairs and I'd get the box out from under my bed, and then I'd put it in and in the family living room VHS player, and I'd watch 20 minutes of Die Hard, and I'd hear the car in the driveway, and then I'd get it out and then I'd put it back again. I never found I was always sort of disappointed with Die Hard in that it's an 18, but really...
If it was to be recerted now... 12A, I don't know.
Maybe it's 15. The amount of time. Maybe it's the amount of times they say "fuck" and "motherfucker" and stuff in it that made it an 18, rather than the.
Oh, it used to be you could only say "fuck" 3 times before it had to be a 50. Had to be an 18.
Yeah,
and
you can say "fuck" once in a 12A now, but yeah, then it gets. But in terms of the gore and the violence, I was a little bit disappointed that there wasn't more that would like...
I mean, there was also cocaine and a couple having sex, and I think you see some titties, so...
Yeah, you do, that is true. But like still, it's not like a hard 18, is it? It's kind of like...
the camera panned away, I couldn't tell.
A little bit more than a 15. So I think, but I think Die Hard was probably the first like proper 18 that I watched from beginning to end.
Okay, nice. I mean, Die Hard's one of those hard ones where, obviously Die Hard 1 is a very good fun film. I never watched 2, and because of that, I always, pine for 2 more than I pine for 1. Like, if ever I think, I could watch Die Hard, I'm like, I might watch 2.
Yeah, well, I also think that there's something in... Well, I'd rather watch Empire Strikes Back than Star Wars.
Yeah.
There's something in joining your friends on another adventure as opposed to getting to meet them for the first time again. I think Die Hard 2 is a really good film.
I think it's great fun.
I think all the Die Hards are really good. But I would say that my 18 certificate films that I watched were action movies with explosions and bullet wounds and guys with big muscles saying funny things after they kill people. And so they're kind of like, they're pieces of entertainment, you know. And I didn't get into horror until much later. And Evil Dead was my gateway into horror.
I wasn't a horror guy as a kid. As a kid, I was a right scaredy cat. I couldn't do it. I would... just anything scary would just completely play with my mind, and then in the middle of the night I'd wake up terrified. And then it wasn't until I got into like props and understanding how like they made the scary things that I'd start watching horror films to be like, oh well, how do they do that, how did they make that? And then I'd be like, oh, that's really good. And now horror films are what I love the most, because I think they're the most fun. Like, regardless of whether it's silly fun, it's still they're the most fun to watch. Yeah,
and knowing it's a roller coaster, it's an emotional roller coaster, and even knowing everything that I know about films, they still have the ability to scare me and to make me squirm in my seat and flinch. You know,
I watched something, I can't remember what it is now, but I remember I watched something recently and it made me properly jump, and I had to go downstairs and tell Kirsty, like, this film just made me jump. And she was like, oh, fucking hell. And I was like, right? And I was so excited.
Yeah. But I was a scaredy cat as well. And like growing up in London in the 80s, there was like a Nightmare on Elm Street film out every year. And going down the underground, I remember, I've got it. It was the quad poster of Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. And it's sort of like a grey background with smoke. And it's Freddy Krueger wearing a trench coat and his hat.
Yes.
And it's not an illustrated picture, it's a photo of him. And that was everywhere on the underground. And I just remember, like, you wouldn't know if it was going to be there when you went round a corner. And I almost had to have my blinkers on in the 80s when I was when I was a kid, because those horror movie posters used to absolutely terrify me.
Oh, but like there was the Brian Yuzna films, The Dentist, and they're great films.
And the video covers for stuff like The Dentist were terrifying.
The razors and the... Oh, my God.
The video boxes.
The video boxes were scary as shit.
Once you get past the posters, when you actually like the posters on the underground for the films, when Video Shop started, Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh my God!
Couldn't look at a picture of him as the zombie because
too much.
There was like there was a VHS of Thriller. I think it was like the 10-minute music video and then a 20-minute making of with Rick Baker, and
beautiful.
You know, couldn't watch stuff like that. It was absolutely terrifying. But the video boxes of and Dr. Giggles and stuff like that was like really scary. We had a friend that was like a bit older than my sister, so he was probably about 4 years older than me. And he'd go and see all of the films, and I would go and quiz him afterwards, and I'd say, "What's
the bit? What's the scary bit? What's
Freddy's Dead like? What's that about?" And he'd tell me about Freddy's Dead, and I'd be like, "Okay, because I used to get Predator and Terminator mixed up in my head, so it's like the Predator. So like, what's Predator like? What's Terminator?" You know, I'd quiz him about all of these films that I couldn't see, and eventually, when I got around to watching them. They're not scary. They're lovely. Yeah. They're brilliant. They're just so entertaining and great. And but I was terrified of horror as a kid. Yeah.
But I like it. I like being a scaredy cat and now not being as much of a scaredy cat.
Yeah.
Which now leads perfectly into what was the first film that you watched that you thought was grown up?
Well, not the first film I watched that made me a grown-up, right? But the first film that I watched which was just like, this is grown-up.
Yeah.
I've got two answers here, but I've also just remembered something as well. I would say I remember Amadeus being on TV in the 80s, and the scene at the beginning when Salieri has slit his own throat. I remember that being particularly traumatic for me. I watched it again recently, and it's like in my head there's like a slit in his throat with blood pissing out of it, and it's just like, oh God. And I watched it again recently, and there's a little bit of like red paint on him, but it's kind of but then after you have that, you have Tom Hulce as Amadeus with pink hair, and he's got that laugh and everything, and it's kind of like and as a child, I really kind of responded to that. But that opening for Amadeus was like, oh, hang on a minute, this is a grown-up film. And my mum rented out Fitzgeraldo with Klaus Kinski, and it was a Werner Herzog.
Yeah.
And now this is weird because this might be a fake memory.
Okay.
Or it may not have been Fitzgeraldo, right? Because I went to see that at the cinema, at the BFI. I went to see it at the BFI maybe 2 years ago. And I was surprised with that it was in English. Because I have a distinct memory of the Amazonian rainforest natives. Or maybe they're the Brazilian rainforest, wherever they are. Because the story is that they've got this big steamboat, and he wants to build an opera house on the other side of this hill. And they're getting there by this big boat, and they've got to basically get this boat over this this sort of mountain. They've got to get it off the water, over the mountain, and back onto the water to get to this opera house. And the film was kind of made in real time, where they kind of actually took the boat over the mountain and they filmed it as they went. And I have distinct memories of Klaus Kinski in the jungle with subtitles. And every time there was a subtitle, I would get my mum to pause the video.
So you could read them.
So that I could read the subtitles. And eventually, quite quickly, she lost her patience. So it was kind of but I remember that. But when I watched it recently, there either are no subtitles or there were less subtitles than I remembered. So maybe it's a mixed memory. But I do remember that.
Maybe it was a Aguirre?
No. Oh, maybe. No, I don't think it was. I think Fitzgerald was kind of like the movie of the 80s for that kind of thing.
Was it?
Maybe it was.
Was it Billy Friedkin's Sorcerer?
No.
No?
No, because I've seen that recently.
Okay.
Well, within the last 10 years,
Yeah.
and it definitely wasn't that.
Okay.
But again, there are subtitles in that at the beginning, aren't there? I don't think Sorcerer would be something that my mum would have watched.
She was more of a Wages of Fear gal.
I mean, I watched Sorcerer because I watched Wages of Fear, and Wages of Fear is the better film.
100%. Wages of Fear was one of the films that my dad, when I was a kid, would talk about. Like, he'd say the word gelignite so many times that I was like, what the fuck is gelignite? And then as soon as I found Wages of Fear, I was like, I've got to watch it. And I watched it. I was like, this is so good. And then
Stunning.
It was years until I found out that it had been remade by Billy Friedkin with Rod Steiger in. And it's callbacks, people. It's callback. And I was like, I should give it a go. And it was one of the ones that we did at Charlie's. And it was just like, this is good, but it's no Wages of Fear.
Yeah, and I think that I watched them too close together.
Okay.
And I've got a signed William Friedkin Sorcerer poster from when they re-released it. I think Sorcerer is really great, and I love obviously everything that Roy Scheider did. You know, Jaws 2,
Juice
Bigelow, European Gigolo. So I do. What I was going to say about Roy Scheider was that, you know, when you look at Jaws, Roy Scheider never gets the credit he deserves. It always goes to Robert Shaw. Or as a kid, I really relate to Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
But Roy Scheider he's like Ray Liotta in Goodfellas, where all of the credit goes to Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, and right in the middle you got Ray Liotta giving the best keeping the whole movie together, and he never gets the credit he deserves for being the best thing in Goodfellas.
Fucking 100% right.
Ray Liotta is the best thing in Goodfellas.
100%.
Roy Scheider is the best thing in Jaws. He's incredible.
Because he's holding that shit together. He is the everyman. He's not the kooky fucking rich guy, and he's not the angry shot. He is you and me. He is the real life situation. And at no point does he think this is all bullshit. And at no point does he go, I'm going to join in with the bullshit. He's like, go on then. No, tell me more. And I believe every fucking element. And that's the same with Ray Liotta. Like, even the bits when he's fucking looking for the helicopter by the car, you're just like, it's just a man getting about his fucking business, and it's all gone horribly wrong for him. Yeah,
that's how I make spaghetti bolognese every time now. I just rack up a load of cocaine and give myself a paranoid breakdown. Yeah.
Got to get the meatballs. They're fucking following me.
That's so funny. Have you ever seen that interview with Ray Liotta and they say, what did you use for cocaine on the set of Goodfellas? And he just goes, cocaine? What are you talking about? Cocaine. Yes, yeah. But Wages of Fear is just like an absolute masterpiece. And Sorcerer is really cool. I'll give it another few watches before I mean,
if Criterion released it, it's got to be at least a Criterion film.
It is good, but like Wages of Fear is
fundamentally a better film.
Was it 50s?
Yeah.
It's a black and white French movie based on a book, and it was made in the 50s. And you know, expectations are low, and you go and see it, and it's one of the tensest,
hottest. You know, it's as in like temperature-wise, you feel the fucking sweat in every scene, and it's what's gonna happen?
There's no kind of like trying to adjust your brain to old-fashioned sensibilities. It's like that's what I think about Casablanca. It works as well today as it does then, right? Yeah. And it's not like, oh God, the pacing is a bit slow.
Yeah.
You know, like even Star Wars, the pacing is a bit baggy. Yeah. You know, which I wouldn't agree with Jaws, but with Star Wars, I find that first one it's a bit baggy. But you know, you don't get that with Wages of Fear. It's incredible. But yeah, I would say that. But then the other thing would be that there was a Woody Allen season on Channel 4 when I was very young. And my dad taped all of them. And what did I watch? I mean, it was inappropriate. It was inappropriate back then. So it's child abuse now. Yeah. But I watched.
Careful when you relate that to Woody.
Yeah, well. I think the chance of us being in a room together was slim. But yeah, it was,
Sir, you've been nominated for a BAFTA. You don't know.
I think his BAFTA days are behind him. I think. So as a child, I watched Bananas, Sleeper.
Yeah, that's my one.
Maybe Annie Hall.
Okay.
And not Manhattan, I think. Or I wouldn't watch Manhattan because it was black and white.
Right, yeah.
But the one that was really like, was Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex But Were Afraid to Ask. I was, 5, 6?
Far too afraid to ask.
You got Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory fucking a sheep, and you're like, what? It's like, what? As a personality, as a child, you know, Woody Allen was like this, you know, he was like, he had like a comedy look, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was like, he had his look. He was like Groucho Marx, or he was like, you know, Mickey Mouse. He was like, this is what Woody Allen looks like. And so as a child, I sort of related to kind of his sort of personality. I would probably say that out of those films, you know, Bananas I thought was hilarious, which was like a slapstick comedy. Yeah. Sleeper, again, hilarious.
Sleeper is comedy. So good.
But Annie Hall, where they don't end up together, spoiler alert, and you're left at the end of it with this real sort of like sadness of what might have been. You know, that's a complicated feeling for a child to experience, and I think that was a real grown-up kind of film for me.
I think that's such a good one as well, as a choice, because you're so used in films to be told like happy endings. Hollywood is just built on happy endings, and Hollywood films specifically, they didn't start referencing explicitly sort of Italian cinema until sort of that sort of early 70s and onwards. And that Italian cinema thing is like, the filmmaker doesn't owe you a happy ending. They don't even owe you a fucking conclusion. Like, it'll stop when we're done. And when Hollywood takes just a hint of it and throws it in, it's always so nice, because it's like, yeah, you've given me all of that joy and that richness, and like meeting the family, the brother being a weirdo, the lobsters, it's all memories, and then not getting together, you're like, oh no. And that's how you feel in reality as well. You're like, I thought this was a thing, I thought we were going places, and we're not. And it's such a good one. I think that is a real good one for feeling grown up. Yeah
Complicated emotions rather than explicit content. It's like the emotional aspect of it is what I think affected me most as a child, you know. And like I can't think of specific examples, but there'd be like characters in TV shows or films that would get killed off and just being inconsolable.
Oh,
you know?
I still get that is, there's two things that trigger me in films. It's when an alcoholic breaks their sobriety. I'm always like, oh, come on, man. Like, we're still going. Let's go. And the other one is when, like, a character I genuinely give a shit about does die. I'm like, no, maybe they'll come back. And it's like, they're an actor. You can watch them and anything. It's like, no, it's that character. Like, that character means something to me, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the last time that I properly cried in a film for those reasons would be Force Awakens, when Han Solo died.
Oh, really?
Because I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Like, even when they announced him, you kind of like go, well, he wanted to die in Jedi. This will be it.
Also, I said to a friend, like, whoever the villain is, because I didn't know what the story was going to be. I was like, whoever the villain is going to kill Han Solo, because that's the only character that any of us care about. And if the villain kills Han, we will then instantly hate the villain. And my friend was like, oh, I don't know. And then, like, I wasn't going to be like, and it's going to be his son. But when I watched it and it happened, I was like, yeah, that's the only way that could have worked. And
yeah, even when they're outside, him and John Boyega are outside the base and they're going in, you still kind of like think, nah, they're not going to kill him.
They're not going to.
And then when he gets on the gangway, and you know, and obviously the film, my opinion of the film has changed over the last 10 years. It doesn't. I think it was a waste of that character in the end, and you know. But at the time, I cried. It was oh God! But it's Harrison Ford as well. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
talk about charisma and Cary Grant and a lightness of touch.
Yeah, I like I said, watching Air Force One last night, I was like, yeah, that man could be the fucking president. I'd believe that. He's got the fucking charisma to pull it off.
I didn't want to say this, but I'm not an Air Force One guy. I heard recently that Kevin Costner was meant to be in Air Force One, and he swapped out to do. Now, what would it have been? It wouldn't have been Wyatt Earp.
No,
that was too early. That was 93, I think. He swapped out to do something else. No, that was 95. When was Air Force One? 97. About the same. It was about the same time as Con Air, and
Postman.
Yes.
Oh,
I think Costner ditched Air Force One to maybe do The Postman, and he suggested Harrison Ford in his place. And I think that Air Force One is beneath Harrison Ford. I think, why would you put Harrison Ford in a Die Hard knockoff? He is too good for that.
I will say I think a lot of the cast are too good for it. Bill Macy just plays like some generic guy in the background.
Glenn Close? What the fuck is Glenn Close doing in that? Like, what? They're all getting paid. I mean, that's what it looks like. It looks like, you're all getting paid today, aren't you? Great, good for you. Gary Oldman doing a fucking Russian accent. Yeah, great,
Go on then, Gary, have a good one.
Bad guy for hire, brilliant, yeah, great. So I like Air Force One never did it for me, but there is a world where you kind of like go, I think maybe a Kevin Costner presidential Air Force One Die Hard knockoff would have maybe
could have had the weight,
more.
Could have done it.
Yeah, I think maybe I do. Well, I still kind of have fondness for Kevin Costner, but I did really like him.
JFK will always be there for me. Like he's great, like because of JFK.
Talk about films on repeat. You know, my sister just absolutely loved Robin Hood, and we watched Robin Hood and over and over and over and over again.
That was one of our videos.
And you know, I would say in terms of best director at the Oscars that year, Martin Scorsese definitely should have won for Goodfellas, right? But I don't have a problem with Dances with Wolves winning Best Picture. No. I think it is legitimately one of the best films ever made.
It's lovely. Like, and it was one of those films that I thought everyone took the piss out of because it was shit. And then I watched it and I was like, oh no, you just don't want to give him credit.
You don't want to get it's a vanity project. He wrote it, he directed it, he produced it, he's in it, and you kind of go, yeah, but it's amazing.
But he gave a shit, and that's the thing.
he gave a shit. It's an incredible film. The director's cut, which is 45 minutes longer than the 3-hour theatrical cut, is even better.
Beautiful.
And it has a lot of stuff about he's a white savior and all of that. But it's like, yeah, but he is the only good white person in the entire film. Every other white person in it is a monster. They're all awful, and it's kind of like, he's very much on the Native American side with this. He's kind of using him as a gateway character to introduce the rest of the audience into the world that he's. It's like he's showing off. Do you know what I mean?
Between him and Clint Eastwood, I think they give off very sort of conservative Republican views and everything. But when you watch their films, I genuinely think that there is such a love for the indigenous peoples and the Mexico sort of crossover in a lot of Clint's films, that you're like, oh no, actually, I think what they're doing is showing that you can be a conservative and a Republican or whatever and still have compassion for an understanding. And I think a lot of it is just completely ignored sometimes, and you're like, no, Costner does a really good job in a lot of films to sort of acknowledge the guys that came before him. And I don't know, that I think they do good work.
I think politics have changed a lot over the last 20, 25 years, and I think that you could be left or right, without it being it was a difference of an opinion, necessarily a complete moral choice. It's not like the core of my very being is that I am going to be this or that. It's like my politics are this or my politics are that. That doesn't really need to have anything to do with how you treat other people and how you treat other cultures or anything like that. You can still be interested. You can still be compassionate. You can still be all of those things. I mean, I lean left, but
this mustache would suggest that I don't, but I do.
But I think it's a beautiful mustache. I can't imagine you without the mustache. So
it's like that.
I don't really know. Oh yeah. Well, he looks much better with it. I don't really get into Kevin Costner's politics really. I wouldn't want to work with him.
Fair, yeah.
But I wouldn't even really want to meet him. But I think Dance with the Wolves is kind of...
No, I think that's completely fair.
Robin Hood, yeah.
Yeah, I think there is that also that's separating the artist from the artist. I think a lot of people... Yeah, I think when it comes to those separating the art from the artist, I struggle with that quite a lot, because...
I do.
There's a lot of people who... Also, a film isn't made by one fucking person. It's made by an entire crew of people, and the actors have done their own thing. So if it turns out that the director was a piece of shit, then we just do our best to not watch his stuff in the future. And I'm going to say his, because it's invariably a he. But everyone else who put in the work shouldn't be dismissed because of one person's actions.
I think you could say that about almost everyone except Woody Allen, where... Manhattan is an incredibly uncomfortable watch. And basically his whole back catalogue is kind of tainted. But with something like Annie Hall, it's such a... Not just I like it, I like it. I want to keep hold of Annie Hall. Like you said, it's an emotionally complicated film that you don't really get in a lot of other places, and you kind of don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But I don't really know anything about Kevin Costner, and Clint Eastwood is such a solid, safe pair of hands. He's made so many. Oh my God. Amazing films, and
he's the only person in the last 15 years who... That's not true. There's Yorgos Lanthimos and Gaspar Noé and Paul Thomas Anderson. Those people, I'll happily watch anything that they bring out. But Clint Eastwood is one of those people that it's just like, oh, you make a grown-ups film, and I like that.
And I like watching a film that's made for
Yeah.
grown-ups, and I haven't kept up to date with loads of Clint Eastwood's latest things.
The Mule is great fun.
Yeah, I've not seen that, and I probably, I mean, going back to, I probably haven't seen any of his new ones really since maybe the J. Edgar Hoover one he did.
Okay.
I saw, maybe Gran Torino was the last one that I saw at the cinema. No, I wouldn't say that that's true. I probably would, but I'm not like drawn to them because I know that they're kind of like. I'm more happy for the fact that he's just cranking them out rather than the fact that I particularly want to watch them. But going back and watching stuff like the Dirty Harry films, they're right-wing fantasies, but they're
great fun.
They're entertaining and they're really fun. And
last year, I think I watched 50 of his films and a lot of Rawhide.
Oh wow!
I really went for it. Couldn't not. My brain wouldn't let me just be like, oh, let's just watch one Clint Eastwood film. It's like, no, brain, let's watch all of them.
He's great. He is great.
He's excellent.
There was a world in the 90s where they were saying that Kevin Costner was going to be playing Indiana Jones's evil twin brother or evil brother, where Kevin Costner was going to be a Nazi and Harrison Ford was Indiana Jones, and you kind of like go, if they'd have made an Indiana Jones film in the 90s, I think that was a real missed opportunity, because they made more anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, you should have made one earlier.
What would be our closest? Quigley Down Under. No, that was 80s.
I think that was bang on 90.
Oh, do you reckon?
I think it was 90 or 91.
Because the other film I was going to say was The Mummy, but that's 99, isn't it?
99.
So they just couldn't do it. They just bookended the 90s like, we can't do indie.
Well, by the end of the 90s, they were like, if you're not going to do anything with it, we'll make The Mummy then.
I mean, that Mummy film, god damn, it's good. A
lot of fun.
A lot of fun. It was one of the films that when we got it on video, my mum watched it, rewound it, and watched it straight away.
Right.
Like, she loved it.
Can I ask, how old are you?
I'm 37, 38 this year.
37, right, yeah, right. I'm 45, yeah.
I feel like we're in the same category of, like, film watching, if that makes sense, like age-wise, I think.
I think so, but I think the difference is that, I was born in 80, so all of these films were coming out as I was growing up, whereas they were like after the fact when you saw them. Like, the world was already established that we're making these movies, whereas it was like, oh my god, they're making these movies.
So Jurassic Park, I've said this a couple of times, like Jurassic Park was the first film I watched, like, and I was 5 when it came out, 5 or 6, and I was deemed too young, and it was too spooky for the boys, as mum and dad said it, so we weren't allowed to go to the cinema to see it. So when it came out on video, I watched it. And when I watched it, I must have been about 7 when it came out on video, because it was a couple of years after. And from that age on, I was like, right, who's this Steven Spielberg guy?
Right.
I like this. Whatever he's making, I like this. And I saw Hook. Yeah. Hook was the first film I saw at the cinema, and I was told, like, oh, he did Hook. And I was like, okay, whatever this guy's doing, I want to do. And that's where, like, the career choice of mine from like the age of 7 was like, I want to make films. And then when I got to 27 and didn't make Jaws, I was like, well, I failed.
Oh, we all feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's only if you're judging it based on you have to make a masterpiece in your 20s. Whereas you've got your whole life to make a masterpiece.
Yeah. It's easy when you're nominated for a BAFTA.
Well, it's not actually. It gets even harder.
Oh yeah, actually, I can imagine that. I held a BAFTA once. I was at John. Did you not even get to hold one?
I've held one. They're heavy, aren't they?
They are. And I was at John Roberts' house, and I picked it up and put it to my face, and my mum was like, "Fucking put that down," and I was like, "Oh man."
Yeah, well, I bet he does that.
Yeah, you fucking better.
Yeah, I remember my dad took me to see Hook at the cinema, and I remember coming out of it, and my dad said, that was quite good, wasn't it? And I remember going, you're an idiot. That was awful. I hated Hook. And I was 10. I was built for it. I think Hook is probably the thing that's tainted my Steven Spielberg appreciation the most.
I think considering Jurassic Park was like, I was 7 years old, Jurassic Park was perfect. Whereas if I was...
But it was scary.
Scary, excellent. Like, Laura Dern was fucking kick-ass. Like, everything was rad about it. I think if Hook was that one for 7, I too would have a different... Like, I think watching Hook as, like a fucking 3 or 4 year old, great. Like,
of course.
Excitement. We're at the cinema.
Yeah.
But...
Whereas now, I would pick Neverending Story over Hook. Do you know what I mean? And Hook is definitely the better made film.
Glenn Close again.
But, of course, famously starring Hook, famously starring Glenn Close. I guess if I had that nostalgia to kind of like push me through it, I don't watch Neverending Story that much. But every so often I
Convince
do have
everyone,
kind of
mate.
like a... I won't show my tattoos, but do you know what I mean? It's like every so often I do have kind of like I'd quite like to see Neverending Story. I never want to see Hook. But
All your Atreyu records in the background.
yeah, all of my friends love Hook, so it's kind of I am the odd one out.
I met J.V. Hart, the writer of Hook, and I shook his hand and I said, I liked Hook. And that was good.
Oh, great! His kid came up with the line. There's some sort of line in it where it's like, "You're shorter than I remembered," and he goes, "Well, you've grown up, or you were a child, or you're not as tall as I remember you being," and that was a line that his kid gave him.
Hey.
I remember that from the Blue Peter special.
Oh,
that they showed,
lovely.
but...
He also wrote Bram Stoker's Dracula and Contact, though.
Fantastic.
Like,
2 absolute middle of the road bangers.
Contact's got that wonderful shot in the mirror.
Yeah. Oh, do you fancy watching Contact tonight?
Said only Sagan.
Never happens. It's never happened. Oh.
Let's watch a really good sci-fi film with Matthew McConaughey in. Oh, yeah, we should watch Contact, exactly.
Let's watch Contact. do you know what I'm in the mood for? Contact, yeah. What was the other one that you wrote?
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is a film where the more you know about the behind-the-scenes stuff, the better it gets.
Oh, the forced perspective with the train and the book, lovely.
And the book, yeah.
Love it.
All of the was it Roman Coppola that did all that?
I think so, yeah.
I think he did all of because he was interested in magic and stuff, and so he did like the practical effects in Dracula.
Beautiful.
And it's a bonkers film, but it's not. I think that my Dracula is a little bit like A Christmas Carol, where I know the story so well, I just cannot be bothered to watch them go through the beats.
And that one
again.
isn't my Dracula, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what mine is, but my vampire film is probably From Dusk Till Dawn. It's not Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's a real, you know what I mean? Like, it's that's not how I consume it. And then, obviously, Christopher Lee is more my...
Yeah. It's a lavish luxury experience from a master filmmaker getting a payday.
Yeah.
And it's like, great. But, Godfather 2 was him getting a payday. And Godfather 1 was him getting a payday,
Look, you're not going to turn down a job and you're going to do the best you can. Simple as that.
Jack.
You're going to say no to working with Robin Williams?
Okay. What's your most controversial, what's your controversial film opinion? Yeah, all right, okay.
Well, I guess we've got what's the film that holds a special place in your heart? What's that one?
What's the film that holds a special place in my heart? The films that hold, while we're on the topic, the films that hold an extra special place in my heart would be the Universal monster movies.
Lovely.
The black and white ones.
You're going to love the promo I shot yesterday then.
Oh, really?
I had my dad spray paint a graveyard scene onto some drapes of black velvet, and then I made fake trees and tombstones and like dressed it up, and then I did the sort of like Criswell from Plan 9 kind of character, and I did this little promo for something, and I spent far too much time and money on this project. I'm not going to see any profit from it, but I was just like, oh yeah, let's hire out this giant hall, and I'm going to get all my fucking good lights out, and I'm going to paint some fucking black velvet, and I'm going to do it properly. And it was great. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, they're works of art. They're beautiful. You can take any frame from that, and it's a painting. You know, I preferred Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein to Dracula, but I saw Dracula at Prince Charles a couple of years ago on the big screen. And when you watch it on TV, it's kind of the shots are very static, and the camera isn't as interesting as it is in the Frankenstein. You know, James Whale really elevates it all. Is it Todd Brown? Todd Browning that did
Todd Browning that did it?
Did Dracula and Freaks.
If it's the same guy that did Freaks, then it is Todd Browning. Yeah.
And so like it's not as interesting, but then when you see it on the big screen, there's a static shot of a horse and carriage going up a mountain. You watch that on a TV, and it's like you watch it on a screen. It's a moving painting where it's this beautiful, detailed, lavish black and white shot with this thing moving through it, and those films are just spectacular. The Wolfman is amazing. Yeah. My favourite, I'm wearing it now. My favourite is Claude Rains in The Invisible Man, which I just think is it's so funny. Claude Rains, obviously from Casablanca. They're just amazing, and even when you get into the colorized ones with Phantom of the Opera and stuff like that, they're still just so. When we went to Universal Studios in 1993, they still were really promoting all of the old black and white Universal movies. That was part of their identity.
Yeah.
And I just love it. I just love it all, so much. They're not scary. They're kind of tragic stories. The monsters are all kind of victims in a way, and except for Dracula, but it's kind of that kind of like
even
that
Dracula,
contrast.
Even Dracula, like I know he's a piece of shit, but like he is stuck as well. Like there's a sense of making the best of the situation and having to be a villain because existence has no longer become anything that holds any value. So he can't taste, he can't do anything, he can't enjoy.
Yeah, sure. But they don't explore that.
No.
To hardly any extent in the Universal one. Whereas you do get all of that. The real, Boris Karloff. His performance in Frankenstein is beautiful, and Bride of Frankenstein, and Lon Chaney and Lon Chaney Jr. in Wolfman is beautiful, and
Elsa Lanchester does such a good job in Bride.
With very little, and they're part of the wallpaper of my life, where they've always been there, and they've. Frankenstein as Frankenstein's monster, Boris Karloff in the makeup is like one of those iconic movie images that no one has ever beaten that design. No. Every time you see a new Frankenstein, they're trying to
reinvent it,
reinvent the wheel, and it's like you've already nailed it. You can't, the Wolfman, that upgrade that they did with Rick Baker in the 2010 one. It's only good because it's based on this thing that we're familiar with, and it's like this modern update. Whenever it's actually just like, oh, and now they're a wolf, it's always a lot less interesting than being a wolf man. And I just those films are the ones that hold a special place. And then John Carpenter is my, his first however many films were up to
Invisible Man.
No, what was the one he did after that? It was
Vampires.
No, it's one of my absolute favourites. In the Mouth of Madness.
Okay, right.
I think that's his last legitimate, almost masterpiece. But and then all the others are like a bit of fun, and you can take or leave them.
I've got this. Let me move this around so you can see it. Got a lovely one of them going on.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that my first, I talk about The Thing so much, but my favourite John Carpenter is Big Trouble in Little China. It's nice. It's amazing, and it's only come to my mind much more recently. But basically, Jack Burton is Ash from Army of Darkness.
Yeah, fair.
It's the same character, but what's amazing about Big Trouble in Little China is that your main character is actually the sidekick, and he's an idiot. But when you're little, you think he's the hero, and when you get older, you just realise he's an idiot. And Kurt Russell's amazing in it.
So good.
It's so much fun. And I heard Kate Hudson, because I always associate Kate Hudson more with Goldie Hawn than Kurt Russell. And Kate Hudson was telling a story about growing up on the set of Big Trouble in Little China. And she said it was the most fun set to grow up on, because there's a bit where they all slide down this thing and they go into this pit of water with all of these kind of like skeletons and stuff in it. And she was saying that the only way to get down from one level of the set to the other level of the set was to slide down it. And so, even moving in between, and Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn were like, you can come to the set, but you have to have a job. You can't just be there as a tourist. You've got to have a job. So then she'd work in like the hair and makeup department or the costume department, and she'd like put together like the kits that they needed to apply the makeup for the next day. And she was like saying that John Carpenter was like the sweetest, nicest old man. And you kind of like go, yes, this is what I want to hear. He's my hero. I love him. So I just So it's the Universal horrors, and then John Carpenter, like in real time, got me through my youth. Yeah,
that's beautiful. I mean, no notes. You're correct.
Thanks. Oh, thanks. Yeah.
So go on. What's your controversial opinion on a famous film?
Don't like The Matrix. Don't like The Matrix. Don't like The Matrix.
First one.
Think Attack of the Clones is the best out of the prequels. There's got to be another real batshit bonkers one.
Go on, find a third.
It will come to me while we're talking. But
let's go with The Matrix. What don't you like? Because on this rewatch I just did of the trilogy, I think the first one is a 4.5 out of 5.
Oh, really?
Last time I watched it, I think I gave it like a 2.5 out of 3, like 3 out of 5. But now I'm like, oh no, this is good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's boring, isn't it? It's like they're all saying, it's so profound, and you go, yeah, but we've all had chats like that in the pub on a Friday night, right? Yeah. It's like okay,
what if it's not real? Yeah, you're right, man. What if?
What if? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You've clearly never fucking had a moment with yourself. Jesus.
The difference between this is that I'm not 5 pints deep by now, right? But yeah, I saw it. Like 1999 was it's famously one of the best years in cinema. And The Matrix, I saw The Matrix, The Mummy, and The Phantom Menace just before I went to uni. And then
Holy Trinity.
And then when I got to uni, it was like every week was something else.
What did you do at uni?
I did drama and film.
So watching film was encouraged, at least, yeah.
It was a bit. It was mainly kind of coursework and essay based. It was a terrible course. It was a terrible course. But on the first day we turned up, and there was 300 people on the course, and then they told us what the course was, and then on the next day there was 30, and I felt so bad for the lecturers that I just stuck with it. Right. But
my course was started with 30, and by the end I think there was 8 of us.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Over the years. Oh right. This was a overnight exodus.
Savage.
It was like bloody hell. They must feel bad. So I'll
no
do
Pinter.
This for free.
I'm out of here.
Do this. Yeah. do it for 3 years. Yeah, there were so many good things, but like I feel like yeah, it just didn't do anything for me at the time, and then it became this big thing, and then like I mean, for any younger listeners, you can't overemphasize that there was a little bit of kind of like goth culture. I was friends with loads of goths and stuff, and everyone used to wear like black trench coats and stuff. When The Matrix came out, just, you know, your regular, you know, Sunday Joes would be turning up in like black leather trench coat. It was kind of like, oh right, it just became this like, it was the same with, in a way, it was the same with Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me, where the first film sort of came and went, but the second film was I think this first film must have been huge on VHS. And then when the second film came out, it was a legitimate blockbuster, and you couldn't fucking move 2 feet at uni, because that came out summer 99. And that was the last, my dad took me to see that just before I went to uni. And then when everyone's dressed up as Austin Powers, everyone's shouting "groovy baby" like across the campus, and it's just like, oh my god, you're ruining this. And I feel like the Matrix, the culture around the Matrix was like a culture that I didn't really want to be a part of.
Fair enough.
And then weirdly, I found the movie incredibly violent, and for someone that was brought up on Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Like that last bit, I was always sort of like, so hang on a minute. If you die in the Matrix, you die in real life. And now they're just machine gunning all of these people in the Matrix.
Yeah.
So technically they're killing them all in real life as well. It's not like they're shooting these computer simulations and they're just computers. They're real lives that they are killing.
When the Smith's agents take over the small Korean woman in the market and then they fucking murk her later and the Smith agent dies... That's a small Korean woman that has just been murdered on the rooftop somewhere, and the police are going to have to explain that to their kids.
Yeah. So I found that element of it like really kind of a bit distasteful. I mean, maybe I'm just being a bit of a coward.
I am a big cyberpunk fan, like literature-wise, films, TV, all that shit. So, and you know, as a kid of a certain age. That fucking nu metal era hit me really hard, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, I'm going to get into this kind of music. So the fact that like Marilyn Manson and fucking Rage were in the soundtrack for the first Matrix, to me it was like, oh, the music I like's never in these films.
Yeah, but then like maybe 2 years earlier, the Spawn soundtrack came out for the Spawn movie, and that had an amazing soundtrack.
I would say Spawn definitely felt like that was for adults and Matrix was for teenagers.
Oh, do you think?
Yeah.
I felt like Spawn made me stop buying the comics.
Ooh. What about the animated one?
It was always on HBO. It was really difficult to get, and so I didn't watch. I've only seen bits of it later on in life. I mean, I got every single issue of Spawn up until the film, and then the film came out and it kind of killed it for me. But the soundtrack came out maybe a year before the film came out, or maybe 6 months. We were so fucking hyped up with that soundtrack before we went to see the film. I think it's weird that I don't like The Matrix, but there are so many. I love Keanu Reeves, but like everyone goes on about The Matrix, and you go, Speed.
Oh yeah,
he's amazing in Speed. Speed is the one.
And Point Break.
Point Break isn't my film. Speed. My mum took me to see Speed at cinema, and it blew our minds. We fucking loved it.
That was one when Jeff Daniels dies. That's me. For me, I was like, but no, you can't kill the man's main character.
Yeah. He's it's one of the best. It's one of the best screen deaths.
Yeah.
It has because Jeff Daniels and Keanu Reeves, personality-wise, are opposites. Keanu Reeves is sort of like a meathead, monosyllabic kind of character, and Jeff Daniels is the brains of the operation, and he's the one that's all like funny and witty and clever. And he's the one that gets killed.
Yeah.
And then Keanu Reeves is on his own, in this fucking on this fucking bus when he like smashes up the bus because his friend has died. It's kind of like it's just like Jeff Daniels' performance in that film when he is out of the film. It's not that you miss him; it's that it communicates in a way that the stakes are just raised to this next level. You don't miss him in the way that, I wish he was still in it like this. But his death has such a huge impact in the way that you see the rest of the film and the way that you see Keanu Reeves' character. It's like Keanu Reeves is on his own now. He's really got to step up. And he doesn't have all the skills that Jeff Daniels has, you know. If Jeff Daniels was with him, it would be an easier job, but it's not. He's on his own. And now he doesn't even have him on the end of the radio. And it's just like, yeah, what an impact. But I would say that I love Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is like, he's a movie star. Yeah. He's not necessarily the best actor, but he's got charisma and you want to watch him. And you don't have to be a good actor in that way to be a movie star. You just need to be like watchable. And Keanu Reeves is that. He's like everyone's little brother. Everyone wants to protect Keanu Reeves, right? And he's brilliant. And my Keanu Reeves film is Bill and Ted's excellent and bogus, and you know, Speed. I just think he's just absolutely incredible. And I will watch anything that he's in, but I think, you know, he was very unlucky with Dracula and Much Ado About Nothing.
Oh yeah.
Where it's kind of like, we're going to do these films that aren't very marketable for teen audiences. We're going to get Kenneth Branagh, Denzel Washington, you know, Emma Thompson, Michael Keaton, Ben Elton, and we're also going to stick in Keanu Reeves, and he's got to go shoulder to shoulder in scenes with Denzel Washington, but he's only in it so that they can sell it to teenage girls, and it's so unfair. It
is so unfair.
And the same with Dracula. It's just like, you've got him in scenes with Anthony Hopkins. It's Keanu Reeves, you know. And you've made him do this British accent, and he's there to sell tickets to teenage girls, and it's like he's always kind of like singled out in those two movies as the worst thing about them. And it's like he was used as a marketing tool, and it's an unfair comparison because in actual fact, in terms of movie star status, he wipes the floor with
because in films like Speed, he's up against Dennis Hopper, and they hold the screen just as much as each other.
Yeah.
It's so good. But go on then. Attack of the Clones. I'd say Revenge of the Sith, but
no. Well, Revenge of the Sith. I think that you know, I think we all imagined a better prequel trilogy than we got.
Sure. Bear in mind, when it was 99 when it came out.
So you loved it?
Well, I was 88, so I was 11 when it came out. No, 10? 11. Like, I feel like it hit me at the perfect time, you know? Like, so when I watched Phantom Menace, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I was excited when Attack of the Clones came out. I loved it. I got the toys. I cared. When Revenge of the Sith came out, I thought it was a good ending. When I go back to try and rewatch the Star Wars films as a 6-part film, you know, Empire and Revenge are probably the only two that I actually enjoy. I do that machete order where you watch New Hope, Empire, then go back and watch Attack of the Clones, Revenge, and then you finish with Return. And that way you get like the full payoff of Darth Vader's outcome. Like, I enjoy them as a whole, but as individual films, I think I'd really struggle to watch any of them. Oh,
right. Well, I enjoy them. I don't watch the sequels anymore. I mean, The Last Jedi did actually kill it for me. So I don't. You know, I don't watch the sequels. I rarely watch the prequels. But I will watch Empire. I think Empire Strikes Back is one of the best films ever made, and I will watch that on its own.
Yeah.
And I think there are elements of Return of the Jedi. Luke Skywalker's not my favourite character, but the Luke Skywalker stuff in Return of the Jedi is about as good as Star Wars gets. The bit at the end with the Emperor and Darth Vader is as good as it gets, I think. And Star Wars, like I say, it's a bit baggy, and I'd much prefer joining friends on an adventure than starting out and meeting them for the first time. So I feel like you always like reset to block one with the original Star Wars. So, but I love George Lucas, and the Attack of the Clones, like Revenge of the Sith, was kind of like, we grew up in the 90s hearing stories of Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi fighting on the side of a volcano. And when you finally see it and there's all this CGI shit that's over it and they're jumping on little robots over lava pools and you're like going, is this better than a very dramatic, intense fight up the side of a hill with lava going everywhere?
Well, I was going to say, like, look at all the fucking Kurosawa films. Like, you can do sword fights with a lot of intensity and a lot of fucking, like, energy and passion, and they don't necessarily have to be, you know, CG laden. You can definitely do those fight scenes without it.
I think it's a mix of kind of like he wants to show off his shiny new toys and a lack of confidence as a director.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, we can't just have two people fighting. We have to put all this other shit in to distract people from it. And it's like, so. And then I feel like all of the plot beats that they were trying to set up that they rushed in the last 15 minutes. It's like, I've just been talking to Qui-Gon and he reckons he can come back as a ghost. And so that's that sorted.
Twins, by the way. She's having twins.
She's having twins. You take him over there. Yeah, right. Okay. Are you not going to change his name from Skywalker? No. Okay, right, sure. So it's...
Well, you think he's going to look for his kids? You think he's going to look for his kids? You're off your nut, mate.
What, on his home planet? I doubt it.
No. To his only relative? No chance. No.
So there's like... It tries to sew up plot holes, but it makes more plot holes. And Phantom Menace is kind of... You spend the whole film getting to know this kid... And then he's not in the next one. It's another actor. And you kind of... And also with Jar Jar Binks, it's like, you've made us watch Jar Jar Binks for an entire film. And rather than up your game and do something interesting with him, you just have a cameo and it's like, that's him. And it's like, why did you make us...
Why do I care about Jar Jar? Well, he had to get us through Naboo. No, he didn't. We could have got to Naboo anyway and still got the Gungans to help us.
I feel like Phantom Menace is almost like a standalone movie, and it has very little connection to the next two films. And what I like about Attack of the Clones is it's like a Raymond Chandler mystery with Obi-Wan Kenobi on a water planet.
I mean, that's fun.
I love
Ewan.
I really like all that stuff.
I'm a big Ewan fan.
I love Ewan. Good. And I like the arena bit at the end with the monsters that come out and they all look like stop motion monsters and stuff. And I love all that stuff.
Jango Fett getting his head cut off. Love it.
I don't think it's obviously a great film, but out of the prequels, it's the one that I'm most interested in rewatching.
Fair enough. All right, I'll give you that. I mean, to be fair, like we were saying, like Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, I think they're both just fun watches, and I think Star Wars fandom is so toxic and horrible, and everyone gets so precious over it. And it's like, well, which ones do you enjoy? It's like, you enjoy Empire, we all agree on that, and you all enjoy maybe one of the prequels. Then they're the ones you watch. Just enjoy them.
But you know, what you find out with these legacy sequels where other people take over is that they like different things about the films that you like. So when they made Terminator 3, and it's I remember the back of the video box saying featuring that classic Terminator humour, and then you watch Terminator 3. And it's like they've made Gremlins 2. It's like, what the fuck is this? And it's kind of like with Star Wars, it was like, we need loads of lightsaber battles in it everywhere. And you kind of like go, the Jedis were an element to the original Star Wars trilogy, but it wasn't all lightsabers. And I find the Jedis, I don't find it that particularly interesting. I like the adventure and I like the battles and everything, but I'm not so interested in watching a bunch of monks with swords go around.
Well, it's a bit like D&D. You can't have an entire D&D campaign of everyone being a fucking rogue or a ranger. Someone has to be a monk, someone has to be a thing, someone has to be the dwarf, someone has to do the thing, because everyone brings their own element. And that's what that wonder of the first few Star Wars films are, the first three, is that no one's the same. Everyone's a little different and they're all hobbled together. Whereas, like, everyone in Star Wars could take take care of business. And it was like, oh, well, then there's no threat, really, is there? Everyone's wearing plot armor, and I can see that.
But it's also, you know, when you see, like, whenever they make a Predator film and they go, well, we've got to have your one ugly motherfucker in there somewhere, and someone's got to say, get to the chopper and all that. So you go, no, you don't need any of that. That's not what I want out of a sequel. I want you to create new memorable moments.
So you weren't a fan of Alien Romulus either? Because I fucking hate it.
I just think it was I like the challenge of... one person makes a film and then they hand it off to another director and then they have to make that film. And that's what I liked about the original Mission Impossibles, where it was like, we're handing it over and we're getting a different take on each one. Yeah. And because of that, I like the first three Alien films.
Yeah.
Alien Resurrection is... in my opinion, dog shit. It's not my movie. I hated it. I hated it at the cinema. I can't rewatch it. I think it's rubbish.
Weird that the man that did City of Lost Children made an Alien film that doesn't feel weird and slimy in any way.
Oh, it does feel weird and slimy, don't you think? I think
it's not got that wet metal feel that all of Jean-Pierre Jeunet's films have.
Oh, really? I think it's particularly slimy.
Okay.
And gross. And one of the things that I think is actually really interesting about it, which had to be explained to me years and years later, is that the face huggers are different, right? The eggs are different. They're a little bit more flexible and all of that, and that's because there's human DNA in the eggs, and you kind of go, oh. Right. Well, that's why they're slightly different designs, right? Okay. Right. Well, that makes some sense, right? But no, I think but even that is like, well, we've tried something else. We've got another director to come on and give us their take, and they're all set in different time periods, so it allows for difference in technology and great. Alien Romulus is the first one that they've made where they are deliberately aping two other directors' visions of what an Alien film is. And it's kind of like, I like Alien, it's a Ridley Scott film. I like Aliens, it's a James Cameron film. I like Alien 3, it's a David Fincher film-ish. And then you've got this guy who is his own legitimate guy.
Yeah,
you know, he made
Evil Dead.
He made Evil Dead his own film. You know, when they made Evil Dead Rise... I thought the whole point of the Evil Dead films was that they would get a new young hotshot director in the vein of Sam Raimi, a hungry director, and we'd get them to do their take on Evil Dead. And Fede Alvarez, his Evil Dead is great. Evil Dead Rise, they got this new guy to come along and direct a Sam Raimi movie, and it's like, well, you've absolutely hampered. You know, you've handcuffed him. He can't make his own thing. And Evil Dead Rise wasn't great. But you got Fede Alvarez, who has his own visions. He's making his own thing, and he's kind of like he's just gone and done like a retro nostalgic thing, and I find that less interesting. And I didn't particularly like. I didn't hate it. You know, it's probably the fourth best Alien film, but you know.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But I mean, there is a fucking gulf between all of that. First three, then Romulus onwards.
Huge drop off. And then Romulus is kind of like a nostalgic, kind of a fan film.
Oh, yeah. Well, apparently there's a fan edit where they get rid of all of the Ash stuff and they retweak some of the stories so that like certain elements happen before other elements, so that they actually like it kind of makes sense more. And they get rid of all of the callbacks. And I've yet to watch it. I've got it downloaded, but I will watch it at some point and see if it's like, okay, yeah, now it's not doing all of those things. Yeah. Can I just enjoy it?
The bit when he says, "Get away from her, you bitch," is, I think, one of the all-time worst moments in cinema. It's just sort of like, and by that point in the film, it's like, we're on board by this point, right? This isn't going to make it better for anyone. Right, it's not going to. If you're enjoying it, it's not going to improve the film, and if you're not enjoying it, it's not going to suddenly make you go, "Oh yeah, the aliens."
That line,
do you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, I love that. I like it when they say the bits that I know.
I thought if they could have said that line if there was like a ship cat, again, call back to a Jonesy element, and if the cat went to go grab something off someone's plate, and they went, "Get away from it, you bitch," and it was a throwaway line, and it's like showing different weight.
No. I would have hated that as well. I just think it's pathetic. It's like, write your own lines.
Oh, no. Please,
It doesn't impress me. It doesn't impress me. You know, there are a lot of them where people come along and they make a sequel and they go, well, we have to put this in, and you kind of go, you like, you know, the people that are making Star Wars, you like Star Wars in a different way than I like them, and the people that are making the Terminator films, you like Terminator for different reasons than I like Terminator, and you've made a sequel that doesn't really fall in line with what I really want out of this. And I think that, you know, for people that love the Star Wars films, that's great. You know, but there is a world where they made films that that a lot more people liked. And I think that if your favourite Star Wars movie is The Last Jedi, I would argue that maybe you don't really like Star Wars that much.
No, I think that's fair. I think there is, like, and I've got nothing against it if you don't mind it, if you're like, it's fine. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you've not engaged, you've not gone deep into it, you've just watched it and you've gone, it's fine. And it's like, fine. But if it is like, I absolutely loved that one, it's like, have you tried another franchise? Have you tried watching anything else?
Because The Last Jedi is Gremlins too. It's like the 8th film in a 9-film.
Also, it's that whole Marvel-ication bullshit where it's let's all make everything silly and everyone's a child and.
But there's a bad joke every 10 minutes that drags you out the film, and they're not jokes like, Harrison Ford, you know, we're all fine here, we're all fine now. Yeah. Everything's fine.
No ticket.
You know, that's those are like funny. That's character based. In The Last Jedi, you've got like a spaceship coming down, and then it reveals that it's an iron, and the iron is ironing a uniform, and it's like that's a Naked Gun joke. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're breaking the fourth wall with these jokes that you're putting in the. It's fucking bonkers that you made that as the 8th film.
And it's that like we know, and it's like I don't want you to know. I don't need you to know. Like, I need you to make me a fucking film.
And but I'm not a gatekeeper, and I also think that if that is your favourite film, I don't have a problem with that. I find it interesting. The
fact that you're watching films is enough for me.
Everyone's like allowed to like anything they like. You know, I love films. Everyone knows how much I love films, and you know, and I'll be like, "Oh, what's your favourite film?" And they'll say, "Oh, you think it's silly." And I'll be like, no, go on, tell me what your favourite film is. And they'll say something like Mrs. Doubtfire or something. And you'll kind of like go, well, that's legitimate. I mean, you're allowed to. And, you know, a lot of the time they're just like really like, who was I talking to? I was on another podcast and they said, oh God, what was their favourite? I think they said The Departed. And you kind of like go, what's wrong with that? It's Martin Scorsese. It's probably not the best Martin Scorsese film, but you're on the right track.
There's some great performances in that film.
You know, who knows why you like stuff? Yeah. Who knows why people like stuff?
Because you find Infernal Affairs too much to watch as a whole trilogy. You'd rather just watch The Departed. That's fine.
Sure.
Just crack on.
Sure. Yeah, but that's what I like about films, is that there's so much of your personality that comes through in terms of what you like watching and what it is.
I also like being that level of film fan that if someone says to me, oh, I really like... And then they'll just say, like, I really like the Fast and Furious films. I'm like, oh, yeah, cool. What do you like about them? Like, and then I'll happily talk about Fast and Furious films. And it's like, I really like the first one because it's Point Break again. But, like, you know, it's... And, you know, you can play with it. And then if someone wants to go all fucking film wanky, it's like, great, I'll go film wanky. I don't care. I'm happy to shift. However you want to engage in film, I'll talk that way with you about it. And I think that's the most fun way to do it, isn't it? Like, watch everything. If you watch everything, you can enjoy more. Maybe. Have you got a third controversial opinion?
Well, no, but I'm sure that I covered it with the Police Academy movie.
Have you ever seen Night Patrol? The Jackie Kong film.
No, what's that?
It's like a Jackie Kong film, and it's mental. But it feels like a Police Academy rip-off. And I'd like to know your opinion on it, being a massive fan of the Police Academy movies. But yeah.
Well, I'm not a massive...
No, you're a massive fan, mate.
Well, I might be one of the biggest fans on the planet, but that's not saying much. But I have a very... I think that they've got such a reputation of being shit that actually, credit where credit is due, the first 4 work as a series, and there is lots to be had out of them. And even by the 4th one, I laughed at, and I probably didn't laugh out loud at the first 3, but I laughed out loud in the 4th one, and it was like, oh, there you go. It still got me somewhere.
All right, well then I'll add that to the list of rewatches after this. What have you been watching recently?
I'm sort of watching stuff as it comes to me. I'm watching kind of like, I'll see if I've put anything in my letterbox recently, but I'm sort of...
Are you public with your letterbox handle, or is it personal?
I just use it to make a note of the stuff that I'm watching myself. But what have I watched recently? Well, I watched Commando this week.
Nice.
I watched... What was that? I watched a film called Crawl Space.
The Wes Craven one? No,
it stars Klaus Kinski, and
I know of it. Haven't seen it.
I saw it the other day, and it's kind of absolutely bonkers. But it was, and Klaus Kinski is just incredibly watchable.
He is
like he's just and he's such a weird performer, and he's playing kind of like this weird Nazi psychopath character. And I don't know why I watched it. It was just sort of like, I think it was leaving Amazon in 18 days or whatever. And I was like, let's watch that. I think it was because it was an hour and 25 minutes and it was late. And so I watched that, and I really enjoyed it. I watched Backdraft for the first time.
Oh, nice. Thoughts?
One of the things that I thought was really impressive, or no, not impressive. One of the things that I really liked about it was that Kurt Russell plays his own dad at the beginning of the film, and then he dies. And everyone's bought a ticket for a Kurt Russell movie, so everyone knows Kurt Russell's not going to die in the opening scene, and then he dies in the opening scene, and it's like, wow, what a cool rug pull.
Nice.
That's brilliant.
Nice.
That's really good. So I like that. I think it's a bit weird that there's like a Donald Sutherland serial killer in it. Like a Donald Sutherland Hannibal Lecter character that's
just loves setting fire to shit.
But I thought it was much better. I've always thought it looked really boring. But what I realised while I was watching it was that you kind of like go, what is this? You know, because the action sequences are kind of like, it's fire. I know that they did loads of work on the practical effects to do it and to make the fire move the way it moved.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, as a concept, it's not that. I guess that's why people don't talk about it loads. But when I was watching it, it kind of dawned on me. It's like, oh, this is Top Gun for the fire service.
Yeah.
So you've made this like romantic.
It's cool to be a fireman. And everyone's going to agree with you after this, yeah.
And everyone is going to leave this movie and sign up to be a fireman, you know. And when I watched it in that context, it was kind of like, it was a much more enjoyable film.
Okay, Ron Howard, isn't it?
Yeah.
And is Robert De Niro in it? I always feel like the Robert De Niro sort of is always the forgotten element in that film, like.
He's a cameo. He's kind of like in a couple of scenes. He's not in it loads.
That era of Bobby De Niro as well, I really like.
Well, it's madness because you got Kurt Russell, Donald Sutherland,
Billy Baldwin,
Robert De Niro, but it stars Billy Baldwin, and it's kind of like, oh right, he's the star.
You're not even going to give us the good one,
all right.
Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel. Yeah,
is he the vampires one?
Daniel's vampires, yeah.
Friend of mine said, he goes, I was watching Vampires the other day, and you look a lot like him. And I was like, I don't think that's the compliment you think it is. And he was like, no, there's definitely an element. And I was like, I don't know if I want that, mate.
Funnily enough, I mean, you say it as a joke, but Daniel Baldwin probably is the best Baldwin now.
Now he is, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Now he is.
Yeah.
But still.
It was weird, wasn't it? Because Stephen Baldwin was in The Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
And you go, bloody hell, Stephen Baldwin's in The Usual Suspects. What's he in next? Biodome. Okay. All right. Okay.
Biodome is, when I was a kid, Pauly Shore films were watched a lot.
Oh, right, yeah. I mean, I liked Biodome, but it's like, I knew it was shit.
Oh, yeah. You're in the Army now as an all-right, like, Pauly Shore film. I'd recommend.
Great. I'll stick with Jury Duty. It's got Jury Duty. It's got Tia Carrera in it.
Back in.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Do you have anything that's coming up that you're interested in watching? Like, is there anything at the cinema that you're after?
I was really excited about The Bride. And,
same.
And everything I've heard about
same.
it is offensive, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe not. I thought the trailers looked pretty good.
I thought the trailer looked better than Del Toro's Frankenstein.
Which I, aside from certain elements in it, I thought I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought, what's his face? Poe Dameron.
Oh, I really like Poe.
What's his name?
Yavin 4. Oscar Isaac. Yeah.
I thought he was terrible in it.
Oh, really?
I thought it was a terrible performance. And I didn't like the fact that they basically made Frankenstein's monster into Wolverine. But then you watch it, and then you kind of like go, well, he did The Shape of Water as well, and he's basically made Frankenstein's monster immortal. So is he setting up some sort of monsterverse that he's going to do later on down the line, where he's going to whack in Frankenstein's monster next to his creature from the Black Lagoon knockoff? You know, is he going to do?
Maybe.
Is Kronos going to turn back up again, and he's going to, you know? So, but it's not my favourite film by any means. But I did hear that it was terrible, and I saw it and I loved it.
Okay.
And I thought also Luc Besson's Dracula was really good.
I've not watched that one. Besson's another one that I struggle with watching anything new by Besson, but you know, I fucking love Fifth Element.
I watched it because it was Dracula rather than it was
Yeah.
Luc Besson, but I thought it was an interesting enough take, and I got probably more out of it on my first watch than I did when I watched Bram Stoker's Dracula. So, you know, but I'm not really entirely up to date on what's coming out at the moment. I am going to the cinema a lot, but I mainly go and watch, black and white films that I haven't seen, or stuff, like foreign language films that I can't focus on when I'm at home. I like going to the cinema and just kind of like, locking into the screen.
Oh, that's why my office upstairs, like, the internet has decided to just no longer work in my office, which is wonderful. But it's an absolute nightmare to focus on anything. So the way I've done it is, like, I got my desk and I got all my bookcases and all my other stuff, but then to the one side there's just this big 55-inch 4K telly with an armchair in front of it. And it's like, if I put on a film, that's the only thing I can see, and then I can just absolutely just pitch black, just zone in, and it's delightful.
Yeah, I love it. I think that going to this, I love films. I have a limited ability to watch films at home, and I feel like when I go to the cinema, it's a real luxury experience. I just enjoy it. I've got favourite cinemas. I go to different ones. I do love going to the Prince Charles. I do love Screen One at BFI is my absolute favourite.
It's a lovely screen. What do you think of the Odeon up the road from you towards
Holloway Odeon? Yeah, my mum used to take me to that when we were little.
Oh, so you're local to Holloway?
I live in a block of flats, and if I stand on the roof, I can see the Holloway Odeon. My mum, she took me to see Batteries Not Included. Nice. My dad took me to see Masters of the Universe. I saw Star Trek 4. You know, that was our local cinema, and now it's my local cinema again. And part of the reason why I really wanted to move to this place was to be like, oh, that's my local cinema.
Oh, nice.
I think it's lovely. All of the seats are recliners. It's kind of, the big screen is huge. So to have like a huge screen right next to you, and then just over at Finchley Park, you've got the Picture House, and that's a great cinema. And then down over in Angel, you've got the Everyman, and you've got the Odeon Lux, and you've got the Angel View, and you know there's loads of cinemas near me. I go into town more often than not to watch stuff at Prince Charles and BFI, and every so often you go and see something worth seeing at the IMAX, like One Battle After Another. That car chase at the end where it goes up and down rather than left to right, and you know, on the IMAX, that was an incredible experience. Nosferatu at the IMAX was an incredible experience, and then Nosferatu at the Prince Charles with the live accompanist.
Oh, nice!
When they did the original silent one, that was incredible. So, I enjoy watching. I don't like bad films, but I enjoy watching any film. And whether you like it or not, you can have a conversation about it afterwards. And the whole experience of seeing stuff is you know, it goes back to what we were talking about originally, where it's like, I don't just like it as like a piece of entertainment. I like everything that surrounds it. I like the work that's gone into it. I like the team effort that's behind the camera. I like you know, the memories I have from various different cinemas and films, and the nostalgia I have from old films that I've seen. I love discovering new films. I love rediscovering old films, and I find that experience of queuing up, getting a ticket, getting your drink and your snack, and then going into a film and just sitting in there for 2.5 hours is my favourite. It's my favourite thing, and you know, I love it. I'm so grateful I've got something in my life that I love as much as that.
A friend of mine said, if your biggest worry at the end of the day is what film should I watch, you're living a pretty good life. And I was like, all right, make me feel bad.
That's a nice way of thinking about it, though.
It is lovely, because that is most nights I'm just like, oh, do I watch this or do I watch this? Oh, and I get frustrated because I'd want to watch both. And it's like, isn't that lovely? But I do love shit films. I'm a big fan of like really shitty B movies. Big fan of them.
Yeah, I love all films. You know, yeah.
All right.
They're beautiful.
They are beautiful. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you got coming?
I've got an album coming out this year. We haven't got a launch date yet, but it'll probably be the summer. And that's going to be a huge double album with kind of 10 years worth of songs that I haven't released on it. So that's exciting. And I'm going to be doing some kind of support, promotional gigs in the autumn to kind of promote it and show it off. So that's what I'm focusing on this year. And then the rest of the year I'm kind of doing gigs and doing a bit of stand-up here and there and writing. I'm writing a book. I'm writing a poetry book at the moment.
Oh, nice.
So, but I haven't got much information about all of that yet. But I've got a load of stuff that's happening this year that I'm kind of excited about. But it's I've got to do it.
The worst bit and the best bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and I'll make sure I'll link all that stuff in the description notes so people can find your stuff. I've
got a podcast that I do with my friend Nathaniel.
There we go.
Called Consume and Obey. Which is a film-based podcast where me and my friend Nathaniel meet up every so often. It's not like as regular as I want it to be, but we meet up every so often. We have like 5-hour conversations about what films we saw this week.
Lovely.
And it's two best friends chatting about films. Perfect. It's a really nice listen. Yeah,
I mean, when I started this podcast, the first one with my buddy Sam, who I mentioned earlier, because I was like, who else would I start a podcast about film with? I'm going to talk to him about it. And what's bad is that like his is the shortest episode. And it's like, it's because we spaff all of our good conversation throughout the week in just like, I just watched this. Oh yeah, what do you think of this? So yeah. but maybe I'll go back and do another one with him. Well, that sounds great. I'll add all that on, and it's lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too. I've really enjoyed this.
Good. I'm really pleased about that. This has been a Lovable Rogue Productions podcast. Thank you to everyone that listened. If you want to help out Your Life in Film, then download it, like it, share it, and give the pod a follow. I didn't realise till starting this that a download is the way they measure success and not just a listen. So, listening means nothing. Make sure you check out my guests on their socials, which will be in the description of the episode. Take a look at my letterboxd. I've made a list of all the films that have been mentioned on the pod. There's fucking hundreds. So you can find some good films there. There are some good ones. There's some fucking weird ones, and I love them. Quick shout out to some of the podcasts I'm listening to. Caliber 9 from Outer Space. That's Robin Joe's. That's really good. And then The Villain Was Right. That's a great fun. Check that out. If you really want to be a mensch, give me that money. There's a link in the description. It'll explain it all. But a download and a share is excellent, and I actually appreciate that a lot more than you'd think. We currently have no sponsors, but I am open to them. I'll shill anything. I don't care. This has been a Lovable Rogue production. Thank you for listening.